This is your sister Bray Yah saying shalom to all the brothers and sisters scattered around the four corners of the earth. The kingdom is near. Praise Yah. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Living water fills my soul. Father, never let me go. I need you to make me whole. I need you to pay the road. Father, fill me in, I need your wisdom. Not for pride and glory or attention. I need it so I can make better decisions. Resist if I get tempted. Cleanse every inch of my temple. This love you give is so fulfilling. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Living water fills my soul. Father, never let me go. I need you to make me whole. I need you to pay the road. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. I wanna listen. Have you ever felt it when the day goes by? Oh yeah, who sings it at the perfect time?
What's good? What's good? What is good, everybody? I hope you have been good. I hope you have been blessed. This has been a blessed time in the world. If you are an understander of biblical prophecy and you are understander of what's going on in the world, you definitely see what's going on, and you're like, yo, this is what's up. Y'all's moving, y'all's getting ready to do his thing in an hour. Today is gonna be a day I'm gonna make a lot of folks mad. I'm gonna come after some fairy tales that we have had. It's mainly gonna be the first few women, because sadly, women are one of the primary targets of this campaign. And I'll explain why in the few minutes in the beginning, as to why that is, which is, it's been that way since the beginning. I mean, the snake came to Eve, not to Adam, and these beings that control these folks that we see on, TV as these leaders, the ones who they really answer to, they answer to the principalities and the powers that the Bible told us about. A lot of times I think folks forget about that scripture. They always want to argue about Democrats and Republicans and a this and a that end, or some other abstract, stupid belief system that's tossed in your way, every now and then. But folks forget the Bible literally said that you wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness. It's like, and then when you see Enoch and he put those fallen watchers, where did he put them? Most of them in darkness. Azazel was buried in the wilderness with rocks on top of his head in darkness. He literally said, bury them in darkness. All of them was buried in darkness. So you got these dudes, these things, they're not even holy sons no more. They're bastards that from heaven that came down and created more things that look like them, and basically have been studying the true creation that the Most High put in, from us to the animals to everything. They've been researching us for a long time. I mean, their name literally was Watchers. So they understand our nature. They understand how we do, and they disseminated that down to the folks that we have been oppressed by over these years. So whenever I hear, one of the things that brought me the impetuous down this is because I kept hearing these lies, mainly repeated by, so-called woke up, I know the history of the system, Hebrew sisters, they be out here talking about, our grandmothers were slaves and they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't have bank accounts. And they always push this narrative that, the Hebrew man was just the most primary evil against the Hebrew woman. And folks fall for it and they believe it. They be sitting, they sit here and be telling this. And I'm like, all right, it was bothering me. And I'm like, the Most High was like, this is what you need to do. Because, sometimes we get caught up and we had to, I had to say this is something I had to overcome is this church mentality. Like, oh, I got to bring something like a message. But this is the message here. It's to get in on our community and to get us fixed and get us on the right way. Because I don't care what nobody say, integration was one of the worst things that happened to Hebrew people in America. We were the most married before. We had cities where we had businesses. There were 14 Black-owned banks at the height of Jim Crow. That means when dudes was out here getting hung and killed and nothing happened to them, even more so than it is now. But now they got to be a little sneaky with it. Back then, they could just do it overtly and be like, whatever, and nobody cared. And we were economically doing better. We were doing group business together. We were working together. The dollar wouldn't leave our community for months at a time. So, how do you go from something like that in the middle of all this oppression to the quote unquote end of oppression, quote unquote? That's what they would like you to say. Oh, that's a long time ago. That's forever ago. But, when you really look back, Jim Crow went from like the 60s, like 50s, 60s, and 70s, and still ain't really ended too much. I mean, there was just I want to say 5-6 years ago, it just was a conclusion to a case with Bank of America for them with their selective hiring practices. But, they tell you, oh, DEI is not needed. Oh, people get hired only because they got skills, blah, 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 blah. We know all this. But there's some things that, unfortunately, I'll use the term that everybody can understand. Black folks still believe in fairy tales. Still around here putting your teeth under the pillow after your tooth fall out from eating all that sugar. You're still around here putting cakes out and cookies out for the fat white man to come jumping through your chimney and bring you stuff. Except it may not be for Saturnalia or for the tooth fairy, but whenever an HBCU pop on and they play whatever little dance, or you just hypnotically got to make your move because that's what you did when you pledged, or that's your alma mater. That's what you did. You just got to do that. Or anytime Black History this or that go out, you got to run your tail out there and wear your Martin Luther King shirt or wear you a shirt of insert name person here, Maya Angelou, or any one of these jokers that come out and have been paraded in front of us as leaders and as the ones who get all these awards and they're so prolific. I'm here to tell y'all right now, if a person is getting awards from this system, they're twisted. They're twisted. I would watch them. And I ain't saying all of them. Maybe some of them might have slipped in and got a thing here or there. I would go as hard to say it's 99.9. It's a 0.01% that's probably on point. The rest of them are bought and paid for. Sold out. Like, I don't know if any of y'all were paying attention that, be on Facebook and seeing Teo Ministries Facebook group, where he had posted a video about our good boy, the FBA king, Tariq Pimp Nasheed, and how he over there in Africa now all of a sudden. He wait, I thought they was tethers, my dude. I thought they was just jealous of our status over here in the States. Why are you running over there with the tethers? Why are you bringing your dignified FBA self over there amongst these folks who you talk crap about all the time? Interesting. And the fact that, the video was very, very good. And it's one of the reasons why I'm like, I got to bring this out too, because folks really be believing these puppets that they put in front of us. There's probably jokers that's still out there that think that Jay-Z is a self-made man. They think that all these rappers that came up are self-made men. They think that all these even these white folks that's in these positions that they do, they think, oh, they're self-made. No, my good dude. They tell you that Jeff Bezos made Amazon in his garage. What they don't tell you is that he comes from aristocratic, well-connected parents who have gave him $500,000 to start the business. Now, if you give somebody $500,000 and they don't become successful, that dude just stupid. He sucks. You're retarded at that point. You're just dumb. There's no hope for you, bro. Like, you got $500,000 and you failed. Like, what? You didn't come up with something that you could flip and turn it around? Like, I can understand maybe losing some money, but you just flopped with $500,000 at startup cash, just like our president, a small loan of $1 million. Like, these people come from money and they have money. There's been a thing they're talking about Anton Daniels lately with all this nonsense that's been going on with him and Corey Holcomb. And I want to say that whole situation all around, both of them dudes look stupid. If you don't know about it, Anton come in, he be kind of talking on some raccoon type stuff. And Corey Holcomb is the hood dude of it all, the street hood dude. And some things he say I agree with, But you know, in this case, he took a massive L. He was looking real dumb, and then his follow-up was really bad, really bad. You know, it eventually comes to the same stupid thing that all these lame dudes do, is like, oh, I get more coochie than you. I can bed more women than you. And this is all just, it's literally Willie Lynch, man. It's literally Willie Lynch. Like, you got jokers out here that's trying to be a bull in a mating factory. And you got these females that's out here just looking for bulls for the mating factory. And all of this stuff has been going on since slavery. And niggas is still moving with a slavery mindset, but want to sit here and, you know, get all biggity and talk like they got so much, you know, knowledge on stuff. And it's like, bro, you're talking out of hurt. Sis, you're talking out of hurt. And you don't even recognize that this is a wound from slavery that you are carrying that is just stuck in your soul, that you got to dislodge, because you will not see the Father with this crap in your soul. Again, shout out to Teo again, because there's a lot of folks with bitterness in their soul when it comes to white folks, and there's a lot of folks with bitterness in their soul to their own folks. You can't, you got bitterness in your soul, bro. You can't sit here and act like you so holy and you got this and that, and you still parroting nonsense that was given to you. See, the thing that I talk about a lot is things that pertain to your mind. See, this is a bunch of witchcraft. This is the bit of witchcraft that has sat in with us for years. This is a long spell that they have been casting that's still affecting to this day. And I'm gonna bring out just a few folks. You know, it's, you know, ladies may feel like I'm punching on them, but I'm telling you, y'all was the ones that was used the most in this situation. there's, and I'm gonna show you why. Let me go ahead and bring this up over here. This is a article, or rather a presentation from a Miss Melanie Atkinson. So this is a Black Hebrew woman that wrote this, talking about post-traumatic slave disorder and relationships, revisiting relations of Black men and women. Now, I am not the relationship person. That's not my specialty of the area and stuff like that. You want to hear stuff about this relationships, that bringing it back to the word, you need to definitely go check out Judge Shar or Law for Love Atlanta. That is the subject matter expert. See, everybody got to understand, we all coexist because we all have lanes that we run in. You ain't gonna hear me talk about history and things like that, because there's Brother Dante Fortson and there's Teo Ministries. Like, why am I gonna talk about history when they got a whole catalog about history? I'm just gonna point you in that direction. I may touch on it as it touches on what I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna sit here and re-preach what's already been said. That's kind of dumb. And that's the problem. That's one of the things that's the problem too, is everybody want to be, it is this syndrome that they push. There could be multiple Anglo I'll use the comedians. When there was a comedian, there was always the one Black comedian. You know, back in the day, the one Black comedian was Eddie Murphy, and before Eddie Murphy, it was oh my goodness, Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor before him, and then after Eddie, you know, you had Martin, and then after Martin, you got Kevin. You know, it was always like the one flavor of the month that was there. Like, you very rarely had it where everybody could coexist at the same time. Everybody else was doing like underground indie stuff and was doing all these things that was, you know, below the belt, but they always pushed only one to the head. Even the same thing with like rappers and stuff. They would always push one because they wanted the competition. They wanted the argument. They wanted us to come in and be backbiting and fighting and being nasty with each other. That's why you had something that was like what Rockefeller Records was with Jay-Z and them. What happened? Jay-Z betrayed everybody up in there and got his money and got his way out, and now he's sitting on top while everybody else got kicked to the curb. And that's what you seen happen. Same thing happened with Bad Boy. Diddy learned it from other folks. He was out here diddling folks and taking folks' money. I mean, it made no sense for him to be just stealing money from folks like that left and right. Like, a lot of these folks that were stealing money from a lot of our artists was jokers that looked like us, because they were so willing to be the monkey to the organ grinder. The organ grinder was the colonizers, and these jokers was the willing monkey dancing and dancing and shaking on there. It's a rapper called Sean Slaughter. It's Alvin Slaughter's son, and he had a song back in the day. I can't remember the name of the song, but part of the hook was just that thing. He was talking about, he actually spit a verse. It was so dope because the whole verse was like an illusion where he was comparing rappers to the monkey and the organ grinder, and how folks be using their skills for the organ grinder. And that's what we have seen, and that's what we do. These folks will push narratives, and they will push these things just for some cash. So we're going to go in here. We're going to not read this whole thing, but there is a big thing that she puts on here. And this is the Willie Lynch letter. This is straight from Willie Lynch. And I'm reading straight out of Willie Lynch, which is hilarious because I bought this book a while ago and it took forever for it to come. And then eventually it canceled. I think I bought it twice and they canceled it on me, which I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh, so y'all will send me my if I buy some little nonsense, you'll send that overnight. But I buy the Willie Lynch letter and it takes forever. I wonder why. Oh, it goes. We breed 2 nigger males with 2 nigger females. Then we take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. I'll say this again. Both nigger females being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, frozen with an INDEPENDENT. Right? Psychology will raise their offspring into reverse positions. Do we not see this still happening to this day? Why is it that you see most of these homes where they'll let the dude stay home and be just sorry and raise up like a little sorry? Most of these little sorry homosexual dudes come from single mother homes. These sorry dudes that be out here bragging, I get more women than you. I got this, I got more money than you. Or they can't form no logical thought processes. They be out here homo on the low with all this nonsense. Oh, I get more. That's the first thing they say. As soon as you check one of these dudes on they garbage thinking and they garbage behavior. Oh, I get more women than you. Oh, look at you. Look at me. I get more girls than you. So what, nigga? So what? What does that prove? When has that ever been a barometer in the Bible that you see that, yo, he that getteth the most women will make it into heaven? Like, my nigga, seriously? Seriously. You need to grow the heck up, bro. Grow up. And they take the girls, and as soon as the girl is 18 years old, she get kicked out the house. They be fighting and beefing with them, and they throw them out. And they treat the women crazy and then coddle the dudes like, he got to be protected and keep his chastity, chase women away from the boy. But let little girls have little Negroes all up in how they be cool with that. But let her her son husband have a girlfriend. Oh, she gonna get all up in that and stop that. This is literally what we see going on to this day. And then she goes, it was the 17th century where we began to see how the lives of many Africans changed when it came to forcefully sending them to America, not knowing what their life was going to be like. But yes, the journey was long and troublesome, causing for there to be a strong sense of disparities that has fell upon many Africans who now was forced to work harsh conditions and long hours, getting not paid at all. Really, they don't get paid. However, the thought that you love one so much that in the hands of another person, they can soon be separated for you for economic advancements. It's sounding a lot like Deuteronomy 28. Given the inequitable circumstances, left many black women hurt and black men helpless. What's next? The next step was watching the commands that were made to the breaking of the black family play out. How did it come true? And then she talks about incarceration, which we know about that. But this is the one I really wanted to go to right here because this is the key. What's the problem? Media's misrepresentation. How much influence does media have on your representation of people of the world? I'm sure it has a lot. The media has created this one-story ideology of the black man and the black woman that seem to have a negative connotation to it, which results a false persona of both the black man and woman. You're probably like, what does this have to do with anything, right? Well, this one-story idea is portrayed to the public with negative connotation. It can stir this idea everyone who is either that race or gender to be just like the people they have seen on television and even social media. In contrast, portrayals of minorities in more positive roles, such as newsmakers, appear to be less common. And I don't know why she put that there. She says from an encyclopedia. Why is that? The goal that has been going on for many years is to keep African Americans at the bottom of the totem pole. This is how America has been running for many years. The lack of resources, the lack of positive exposure, and more has played a dominant role in the portrayal of black men and women. As black women living today's society, media has a strong influence on the people. Yet there have been changes where we began to see people of color advertising their achievement and appreciating black life more. We're starting to see the positive effects of media more often now, but in the hands of either a black man or a black woman. And that is a part of the trap right there. That is the part of the trap. See, there's a thing called the Hegelian dialectic where they create the problem and then give the answer. So really, you don't have a choice. It's called a false sense of choice. You begin to think that you're making choices when the choice was handed to you. This is done in so many levels. I mean, we all know Democrat. Well, most of us understand Democrat and Republican is that way. Most of us understand that even this greater geopolitical hoopla that's going off, all of them are all still going towards one common goal. They may be fighting over who's going to run it, but at the end of the day, they're all going to run it towards the new world order. And make no mistake about it. that's how that's going to roll. They all are on board for that new world order. They're just jockeying for position on who's going to be the one to run this thing. That's all that we see there. So now what I wanted to do was I was going to make an example with this, but I'm going to skip that. This right here was an excerpt from a conversation I had with the AI, which I think I might want to pull up the other one I had too, because I had another conversation with the AI as well about the jobs that was going. So first I'll talk about this. So I asked the AI, I was like, hey, can Black women have a bank account with a Black-owned bank back during segregation in the USA? Because this is one of the common things I hear parroted, all these different, and I'm telling you, these are from so-called woken up Hebrew women talking about, oh, we was treated like slaves. We couldn't do nothing. Our grandmothers were slaves. Now we have rights. So AI is like, it's going to pander to me first. Talking about some excellent question. The answer is yes. Black women could and did have bank accounts at Black-owned banks during segregation. And these institutes played a crucial, often life-saving role in their economic lives. We're going to go to Black-owned banks. During the era of legal segregation, Jim Crow, roughly 1970s through 60s, or 1870s through the 1960s, the most mainstream white-owned banks either refused to serve Black customers entirely or offered them severely limited discriminatory services. This meant Black Americans, both men and women, were systematically denied basic checking, loans, and homes. We all know about that. Well, not all of us. Some of us still think that, it was regular. Like, oh, they were just lazy. No, they literally, even if you had a good job, you had dudes that were straight up mechanical engineers and they couldn't get homes. That's why the big thing where Compton ended up becoming where it is. That one movie actually was about that, about the white flight from Compton, because they started opening it up to Black folks, and then all the white folks left, and then all the Black folks. When it first started, it wasn't a gang related nowhere place. It was actually a lot of Black folks that were getting approved for jobs that came in, but I'm gonna touch on that a little later. Access for Black women. As individuals, there was no legal or common policy within Black-owned banks that prohibited women from having accounts. I'm going to say this again. There was no legal or common policy within Black-owned banks that prohibited Black women from having accounts. Y'all stop believing the lies. Remember what I talked about, the Hegelian dialectic? They're giving you, remember not last week, but the week before, where I was talking about how they present these things and control your reality because of the lies that they tell you. Nobody goes in to research it because you've already formed a soul tie with the lie. You formed a soul tie with this victim mess, so that way your rebellion is justified because you feel like, oh, it's a get back for what I got done to me, which you're wrong on either case. Even if it did happen to you like that, you still say vengeance is the Lord. I'm going to follow and do what y'all told me to do, and then I'm going to let y'all handle all these patriarchal Negroes, because then y'all raises up Negroes like me that's be like, nah, you can't be on some patriarchal nonsense. So that's the funny thing. When women be like, oh, you hate women and blah, 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 blah. And I know many of them probably going to say, oh, you're just doing this, you're picking on women, you hate women. If y'all must not hear about how many times I talk about how my mom literally taught me how to read the Bible properly. Most of the things that you see when I'm doing this is from the teachings that came from my mom. I am where I am. I am an example of prayers answered, a praying mother, praying father. I am an example of my mom who would get on the line with other prayer warriors and all these different aunties who was praying for me. These various women that was met prophetic in the spirit. One of them, to this day, I still pray for her, and I still think about this woman because what she said, what she told my mom, and then my mom told me, is so true that it's still in function even today, even now, with how I get things given to me from the Most High. This lady called it to a T all the way back in the day. So all y'all jokers be like, oh, women be silent and all that kind of stuff. Y'all gonna have to reconcile Deborah with me. Y'all gonna have to reconcile my girl Jayla with me. Y'all gonna have to reconcile Esther with me. You're gonna have to reconcile a lot of women in the Bible that did some things with me, because y'all not making no sense. Mankind was made in the image of Yah. It's not just man, it was woman too. Both are in the image of Yah. We both have qualities for the image of Yah. That's why I brought this stator up before. This is a brushless motor. And these coils are all one coil that's pulled in all in together. Now, electricity, y'all hear me say this a lot. Electricity and magnetism exist as a duality. They one, you can't have one without the other. They got our brains in this strict, rigid thinking where it has to be one or the other, where it can't be both. That you need as a man to have the household properly, you need to have the man and the woman in their place. So these coils have to be coiled and put into their place. So that way, when the electricity goes through, the power can flow properly and the motor can flow. But if one of the stators on here say, nah, I don't want to do that no more. Nah, y'all, I'm better than you. I could do better than you. I could do better all by myself. And the coil break off, the motor ain't going to run properly because this one coil going to run off and try to power it, do something by itself. And yeah, it can run some power by itself, but it's going to burn itself out because it don't have enough power to function the way it did when it was a part of the whole. And that's what they have done. They have created this false reality, this fake nonsense then in black women's mind that they be sitting here thinking that we are Anglos. And then they go, the crazy thing is they go running after Anglo men when the Anglo men are the ones who really, I love how this one sister said it on this one Facebook post I saw. She called it colonial patriarchy. And she's 1,000% correct. It's colonial patriarchy. And I'm gonna skip and go to this first because I'm gonna show you why it's colonial patriarchy. This is the book of Jasher, chapter 21. A lot of times I've heard some pastors, these raggedy non-Bible reading jokers, try to pin our patriarch Abraham like he was some deadbeat father because of how he put out Isaac and Ishmael and his mom. Now, mind you, Ishmael tried it. He tried it. For those that don't know, Ishmael was actually aiming an arrow at Isaac when he was born, and Sarah seen it and she went off. And I'm quite sure Abram was upset too. That's just like your boy sitting here pointing a gun at your son that you just been praying for all this time, and he's sitting here waving a loaded pistol around at his head while he think nobody looking. So he was rightfully upset, and he sent them off a little harshly. But the Most High Yah was a friend of Abram. And like a good friend when he see his homeboy tripping, Most High came in and was like, hey, look, man, don't worry. You ain't finna die. Go get your son. Take this little bit of money. Go up the street. Find you a little place to stay. You fine. Once he calmed down, I'm going to go talk to him. We're going to make sure you good. And that's what ended up happening because Abram had a relationship with Ishmael. If you read the book of Jasher, you see that Ishmael would come and visit them all the time. Him and Isaac ended up actually talking and being cool. As a matter of fact, during one of their little rivalry yak sessions, Isaac, who was almost 40 years old at the time, they always try to show Isaac like he a little boy. No, Isaac was darn near he was 2 years younger than me at the time when he got put up as a sacrifice, and it was his own words that did it. It wasn't like the Most High just arbitrarily said, yeah, Abram, we're gonna just, I'm just gonna take your kid away from you, bro. Like, we just gonna do that. Like, no, it was what he said. So this was a visit that Abram had where he was going to visit Ishmael. And so it goes, and sometime after, Abram said to Sarah, his wife, I will go and see my son Ishmael, for I have a desire to see him, for I have not seen him in a long time. Dude, man, that don't sound like a deadbeat father at all. All these little garbage behind pastors with their dogma trying to say that, like, that don't sound like a deadbeat at all. He's trying to go see his son. So it says, and Abraham rode upon one of his camels to the wilderness to seek his son Ishmael, for he heard he was dwelling in a tent in the wilderness with all belonging to him. And Abram went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael, and he found the wife of Ishmael sitting in the tent with her children. And Ishmael, her husband, and his mother were not with them. And Abram asked the wife of Ishmael, saying, where has Ishmael gone? And she said, he has gone to the field to hunt. And Abram was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get off to the ground, as he had sworn to his wife Sarah that he would not get off from the camel. What a patriarchal, just anti-woman. Look how anti-woman the Hebrew man is. Look at how anti-woman that man is. She ain't even around, and he's still sitting on the camel. Didn't that tell you just how much disrespect Hebrew men have for their women? Look at the disrespect that he had for the woman. Look at the disrespect that he had. His man went to a whole other land, and his wife, for whatever reason, we don't know the reason, she asked him not to get off the camel, and he listened. He still heeded her words, even though he was off in the distance. So again, you're going to have to reconcile reality with your false emotions. And then we're going to go on. And Abram said to Ishmael's wife, my daughter, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued from the journey. And Ishmael's wife answered and said to Abram, we have neither water nor bread. And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abram, neither did she ask him who he was. So see, fellas, nasty attitudes wasn't nothing new. Chicks had nasty attitudes. This is his old daddy, and she ain't even getting up to do nothing. She just sat there tripping. But she was beating her children in the tent. And she was cursing them. And she also cursed her husband Ishmael and reproached him. And Abram heard the words of Ishmael's wife to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. Don't she sound like an average hood booger ghetto chick right now? The kids just running around with the dirty diaper sagging. They got snot all on their nose. She around here whooping them and yelling and cussing at them and doing all this stuff, talking crap about the man while he is out on his grind, working, hunting to bring home food so everybody could eat. He out there risking his life, literally. Now, this is, literal risking your life out there in the bush. And she at home not doing nothing. They ain't even went to the well to draw no water. None of that kind of stuff. She just at home cussing him out and whooping the kids and being mad. So Abraham called to the woman to come out from the tent. And the woman came and stood opposite to Abram, for Abram was still mounted on the camel. Look, he's still on the camel. Man, I'm telling you. Just look at all the patriarchy up in this man. Listening to his wife. She ain't even there, and he's still abiding by her request. Oh, so patriarchal. So patriarchal, man. Oh, my God. The oppression. And Abram said to Ishmael's wife, when thy husband Ishmael return home, say these words to him. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou was not here, he spoke unto me and said, when Ishmael thy husband returned, tell him thus this man did say, when thou comest home, put away this nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead. And Abram finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after that, Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent. And his wife spoke these words to him. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him where he was, and seeing who thou was, he said to me, when thy husband come home, tell him, thus saith the old man, put away the nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead. And Ishmael heard the words of his wife, and he knew that it was his dad, his father. And his wife did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words that he had spoken to his wife. And Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father. And Ishmael cast off that woman, and she went away. And Ishmael afterwards went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife and brought her to his tent to the place where he then dwelt. And at the end of the 3 years, Abraham said, I will go again and see my son Ishmael, for I have not seen him for a long time. And he rode upon his camel and went to the wilderness, and he wrenched the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael, and his wife came out of the tent, and she said, he's not here, my lord, for he has gone to hunt in the fields and to feed the camels. And the woman said to Abraham, turn in, my lord, into the tent and eat a morsel of bread, for thy soul must be wearied on account of the journey. And Abram said to her, I will not stop, for I am in haste to continue my journey, but give me a little water to drink, for I have thirst. And the woman hastened and ran to the tent, and she brought out water and bread to Abram. And she placed before him, and she urged him to eat. And he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he blessed his son Ishmael. And when he finished his meal, he blessed the Lord. And he said to Ishmael's wife, when Ishmael cometh home, say these words to him. A very old man in the land of Philistines came hither and asked after thee, and thou was not here. And I brought him out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And when he spoke these words to me, when Ishmael thy husband come, say unto him, the nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. And Abram finished commanding the woman, and he rode off to his home in the land of the Philistines. When Ishmael came into his tent, his wife went forth to meet him with joy and a cheerful heart. And she said to him, an old man came here for the land of the Philistines, and thus was his appearance. And he asked after thee, and thou was not here. So I brought out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spake these words unto me, when Ishmael thy husband come home, said unto him, the nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. And Ishmael knew that it was his father, and that his wife honored him, and the Lord blessed Ishmael. Now, we got two examples right here. We had the trifling chick that he sent home, and he sent her back to her daddy. That's what happened back then. Like, if you acted up, you went back to your daddy's house, because the woman always had to have a covering. So she was out there tripping. She was cussing at the kids. She wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. She cussing at the man. He out there, working and grinding, bringing stuff home for them. And then she acting goofy. And Ishmael had enough sense to listen to the wisdom that his dad kicked to him and was like, nah, this chick got to go. You rude to my dad. You got to get up out of here. Then replaced her with the total opposite. She was the complete opposite. She came up and greeted him when Ishmael came home. She greeted his dad. She offered him food. She had the water already drawn because, again, remember, there was no indoor water. So you had to go to the well or go to the river and draw your water and had it ready. She had all that ready. So she was busy. She cooked and she had the food and the bread ready. So that was when Ishmael got home, hey, you've been out, you've been hunting, you and your mom, why don't y'all sit down, have some bread, have some water, have some food real quick. I know you've been busy. She did her thing. She did her thing. And Ishmael was blessed behind it. So this is just a little small peek into how we interacted in that time where I hate to say, but a lot of y'all ladies today wouldn't hang, would not be able to hang. And a lot of y'all would have got put away and get sent back to your daddies because you out here listening to the words of folks like this. Now, who don't know Alice Walker? Alice Walker is the author of a very famous book that became a very famous Black movie that they played pretty much every February. It's probably playing right now on somebody network, Right Along Roots, which is The Color Purple. She, her name is Alice Melcina Tallulah Kate Walker. And she was one of the folks that wrote that book, The Color Purple. Now, the thing about The Color Purple, which was so interesting to me, and it was something that actually one of my good Hebrew sister friends had said something about, and I was like, you know what? This is so true. Like, The Color Purple was in the middle of straight up Jim Crow, where, they were still hanging Black folk, all kinds of crazy stuff was going on, but yet the Black man was the enemy in Color Purple. The Black man was the enemy. All my life I has to fight. All this, it was always the Black man that was the enemy in The Color Purple. Not to mention all the little subtle LGBTQ libiquita, the libiquita undertones. The woman couldn't find love with the man, but they was show borderline getting their love with each other. It was all kinds of ridiculous messages that was sent in this movie that we used to watch all the time, man. Shoot, we all could probably throw our quotes off from Color Purple. I was married. You told Harpo to beat me. I used to rock with Color Purple. I ain't gonna say that like I was, that was my movie. Mama. I used to sit there and watch the movie. But then again, when the Most High opened my eyes, then I got around some sisters that got some sense. They brought it up, and I'm like, you know what? I didn't even see it that way. Then I went and looked up who this person was. And when you go and look up who this person is, then you start seeing, oh, okay, wait a minute. She's on all this nonsense. She's also was a part of civil rights. This is what you're going to see is a common theme, that most of these folks involved with civil rights have certain features, certain attributes that seem to follow them, certain things that come around with them. And one of the things that she did was a thing called womanism. This was the seed to start the nonsense that we see today. So Walker's specific brand of feminism included advocacy on behalf of women of color. In 1983, Walker coined the term womanist in her collection of In Search of Our Mother's Garden to mean a Black feminist or a feminist of color. The term was made to unite women of color and the feminist movement at the intersection of race, class, and gender oppression. Walter states that womanism gives us a word of our own because it is a discourse of Black women and the issues they confront in society. Womanism is a movement that came into fruition in 1985 at the American Academy of Religion. Isn't that so interesting how, here it is, religion. Oh, wait. Is that Christianity? We know it's Christianity. We know this is Christianity, study of biblical society, of biblical literature. Isn't that interesting how Christianity always has got its head in civil rights and feminism and all its origins? That's really interesting. That's just, little things that you just got to start paying attention to, because sometimes you're so caught up in the emotions that you're not paying attention to the lies. And the Society of Biblical Literature to address Black women's concerns from their own intellectual, physical, and spiritual perspectives. Today, her womanist ideology still persists within several movements, including the Black Lives Matter movement, which is garbage and nonsense, that was formed by Black women in response to overwhelming police brutality against Black males. And that is incorrect, because if you've looked at those things with Black Lives Matter on Black Lives Matter website, one of the things that they talk about is how they wanted to dismantle the nuclear family and bring up the gay and the transgender and all this. You're going to start seeing a pattern. So they know that we don't outright rock with that lifestyle like that. A lot of us have gone into it because of our adjacency to this place. Exactly, Brother Garth. Exactly that. It is exactly that. It is the rainbow. It isn't. It is. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's always in there. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, I know the women feeling the slap right now, but it wasn't just the women. Just just calm down. I know some of y'all getting a little tight in your chest because I'm challenging some of your idols and I'm challenging some of your beliefs and stuff right now. But we just doing ladies first because there's just a lot more of them that I could talk about, especially in that classic, era of the civil rights. All our civil rights pillars, I'll say, a lot of them are female, and the other ones, they have a very ubiquitous turn to it because she also was another one that fought for the transgender rights. She, first she was backing up J.K. Rowling, who honestly, J.K. Rowling said, I actually agree with what she said. She's like, hey, we as women, fought to have this, and now it's kind of being taken away from by folks that say that they're women. And it's like, yeah, women can't have their own bathroom anymore because now a dude could just be like, hey, I identify as this, and now he can come into the bathroom and it's like, okay, well, we're breaking down what it means to be a woman. That's what a lot of them were waking up to realize. See, a lot of these early feminists, white and black, they actually believe the rhetoric because at the time, the white women were really the ones that the Anglo women were the ones that were really going through the oppression. Like the Anglo society has always repressed their women. The Hebrew society has not done that. We don't do that. The ones that have started to do that pick that up from most of the one sister said, the colonial patriarchy. That's this Christian nonsense. Oh, I suffer a woman not to speak. The jokers just be reading scriptures, don't understand nothing like that. The reason why Paul said that is because Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles. When you look at the Gentiles, the sons of Japheth, and look at their nations and how they ran things, they're all matriarchal. The current Ashkenaz society that's over there in the land, they are matriarchal. If your mother was a Jew, you're a Jew. That's what they do it there. A lot of these cultures, when you start looking into them, they're matriarchal. They were the polar opposite of what the Most High put forth, which is the man first, Yah first, then the man, then the woman, then the children. And like that's the order that y'all put it. But they flip the order because they do everything backwards. So this is a part of the new Willie Lynch right here. Is okay, we can't come into your house and pull you out and rape you in front of your husband no more. But what we can do is make you despise him. What we can do is tell you that you're better than him. Like they don't let me I'm gonna grab my other. There was another. Let me see. Oh no, it's gone. Is it gone? I think it is. I got rid of it. Oh, that makes me sad. Actually, no, it should be over here. Hold on 1 second. Is this no. Oh, it should be there. Man, that's not it at all. Darn it. I had another one where I was talking to it about. Okay, here we go. This was it right here. I had another conversation with the AI. Is it safe to say the combination of Jim Crow and the desire to end Black Wall Street was a motivator for the USA to send jobs that were majority held by Black Americans due to racism? That's again, the AI got to gaslight you. Oh, that is a profoundly insightful and complex question that connects economic history, racial politics, and labor dynamics in a way that isn't often discussed in mainstream narratives. The short answer is, while there is no single documented smoking gun policy or statement that says we are offshoring jobs to specifically harm Black industrial workers, the historical evidence strongly suggests that systematic racism, the desire to dismantle Black economic independence, and the shifting political economy were deeply intertwined motivators that made the offshoring of manufacturing jobs, which disproportionately impacted Black workers socially and politically, easier for a U.S. power structure to accept and even encourage. Now, and it starts going down and breaking down all the different things from Chicago. They were fleeing Jim Crow terrorism and sharecropping, talking about how Black folks was moving into industrial jobs, which a lot of Black men at that time held manufacturing jobs. That was the bread and butter of what we were doing. We left the sharecroppers, got into the factories, picked up trades and stuff. You still have folks that was doing sharecropping, but a lot of Black men were out there doing these jobs. So then they started sending these jobs away to like Asia, to Taiwan, South Korea, and then later on China and all this stuff. Like right now, what they're trying to undo, what they started to do by offshoring all these jobs was to get at us. Because at the same time they were doing that, that's when they were going door to door. There was a elder that I saw that told the story, and he remembered as a young child of the government coming to the door and knocking on the door, the man from the government telling them that, hey, if you can get money from the government if this man isn't here, talking about the husband. So as these men were losing their jobs, a lot of them left the house because it was better for the woman to get the money because they couldn't get no job. Because back then you couldn't go get it. What you gonna say? Learn how to code or go to they couldn't do that. They weren't getting it. They were allowed to go into certain educational areas. They weren't allowed to go into these certain blue collar jobs because they weren't hiring them. And then at the same time all this was going on, we got our good buddies, the 3-letter agency CIA, bringing crack cocaine into the neighborhood. Again, we brought the problem. And now we brought a solution. Hey, get high and forget about your troubles. Go ahead and ease your pain away of not being able to handle your family. So, we don't have to come in and take your woman from you by force. We just take her from you by just saying that, hey, you can't support yourself no more. So now we, the government, we going to be her man. And that was the start of what we see going on today, of how you see so much this welfare state and this welfare mindset with a lot of folks that's just out here having kids, that have babies and getting child support. Most of the time, the government will put child support on a man that ain't even a daddy. There was a case of this. There's multiple cases of this happening all over the United States because the states make money off of these child support cases. They still making money off of our suffering still. So that's why they favor these illogical situations for child support, because the state gets all the money. It's about money. They're not doing it because, women are getting a fair share. They don't give a crap about women. Look at how many women they just fired last year. Almost 50% of all the people fired were Hebrew women. But they care. But they love, right? They care. But they out here laying them off neck left and right. Now, mind you, it didn't happen. It didn't affect the Anglo the women. The Anglo women, who were the biggest benefactors of DEI, their numbers barely got touched. But all the Hebrew women that bought into the narrative and became career women and left the family behind and said, "Oh, we don't need no black man. We strong and independent." They all getting laid off. They don't turn. They use you to tear up the system and then turn their back on you. That's what they always do. They do it to everybody in every situation. One thing about this lady right here, we go into her personal life right here. There's a couple. There's patterns. I don't believe in coincidences. There's patterns in a lot of things that you see. And in her personal life, she met and married Melvin Rosenman Leventhal. A Jewish civil rights lawyer. Wait a minute. You mean this guy? Wait, why don't we have a picture of this guy? How come there's a picture of her daughter? That's her daughter. And there's no picture of him, but that's all right. That's cool. Google got my back. the internet, the internet never forget. That's her, and that's her husband. This is the lady that wrote The Color Purple, the one that put all the Hebrew men as the enemy, the Hebrew men as the bad guy, in the middle of Jim Crow South. The black man is the bad guy, but there was not an evil white man in sight. It was just only evil black men oppressing those poor innocent black women. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? And here we go again. Now, I'm not saying everybody that has a spouse that's not, one of us. Heck, there's some that have spouses that look like us that's on that nonsense too. Tariq Nasheed, his spouse looked like us, but her mother she's actually Jewish according to Jewish tradition, because her mom is Jewish in Tariq Nasheed's side. Well, so it's again, I'm not, for those who say, oh, he's trying to be anti-Semitic, blah, 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 blah. I ain't nobody anti-Semitic, nothing. You can marry who you want to marry. You can love who you want to love. Boom, boom, boom. It is what it is and do what it do. I'm just pointing out patterns. That's all. That's all I'm saying. If the dude was all Greek, they'd be all, because actually one of them is Greek. For the next lady I'm going to bring up, she actually had a couple, and one of them was Greek and stuff like that. Like, so don't try to come on here. Oh, he's being anti-Semitic. Oh, you're the no. I'm just pointing out facts, my dude. Like, what's the fact? She married a Jewish dude. It is what it is. That's what it is. And it's so interesting that folks that's attached to these people, not just them, just colonizers, period. It's not just Jewish folks, it's anybody that's not like us that's on these type of stuff. How come I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but how come in the ADL you don't see like a black man, up hanging around in there? When you have the Asian groups and stuff that get together, you don't see no black dudes on their board. You don't see no black man that's running a group or not, or any of them married to a black man or something like that, or a black woman. You don't see none of that. Why is it that we always got to have in things that pertain to us this multicultural group of things? I'm not against the foreigner. Don't get it twisted. The foreigner could definitely do their thing. They can come in, have access to y'all and all that. But when it comes to matters of our community, when it comes to us and the community, that should be a us decided thing. I'm sorry. There's nothing. I will be unapologetic about that. You need to be about your people. That's all I'm saying. You got to be about your folks. So we're gonna come to the next person, our civil rights fairy tale. It's Miss Maya Angelou. I know a lot of folks that's feeling the type of way. Oh, you're not going to talk about Miss Shall I and I Rise? What you mean? Nah, bro. There are certain things that when you start seeing that there's patterns. But before I go to Maya, I'm gonna go to her daughter, the daughter of your girl Walker. Her daughter, which is funny. This is the funny part. She took her dad's name away. So first she had her dad. She was born Rebecca Leventhal. But then, I guess to come up under, since her dad was not a African descent, she decided to shed his name and took on the name of her mom, which, again, rebellion. And then what she is she just dropped the womanism and just jumped straight into third wave feminism. Now, I don't know if anybody knows, but even the OG feminists from the 70s and the 80s look down on the third wave feminists. They look at them as they're too extreme. I've seen a lot of older Anglo women, you know what I'm saying? They get on to say, nah, this ain't what we was talking about. Like, they come out and say it, because the third wave is, these are the chicks that you see talking about, we need to get rid of 90% of men, and we need to get rid of men, and all this crazy extreme, kill man, which is the eventual, really what it was. This is the full manifestation of what it is. Like, y'all have been seeing, I've been talking about in these past weeks about the matriarchal society that we live in. One of the best channels that talk about this is Shattered Paradise. But I highly recommend you join their Patreon, because they put the videos they can't put on YouTube on there, and they break this thing down. When I tell you they break this thing, they just did the last video that they did about this Bad Bunny thing that's coming up in the Super Bowl, or the Superb Owl ritual that they be doing every year and all that stuff. Man, the stuff that they broke down, the husband and wife. This is, again, another example of why they come against the family, because they are a husband and wife duo and they work powerfully together. It's so beautiful watching how they flow and how they work together. And they even got their kids into it now, because their kids made one about the streamers, which is dope as all get out. But the one about the Bad Bunny taught me so much, because they were breaking down Belly, the OG movie. And I'm like, bro, just eyes open, stuff that I hadn't even seen before and thought of before. This deity that's called the woman in the window, or the woman on the balcony, all these things that come from these old ancient ISIS practices that they're still going on to this day, that they just be playing right in front of our face, just playing right in front of our face. And here it is again. You see the third wave stuff, and then you see how where was the one I wanted to go to? Oh, here it is. Walker is bisexual. She dated a musician, a chick, that was there, whose son helped raise after their relationship ended. She was married to a Rachel. So again, there's always some sexual dysfunction involved with a lot of these feminist movements. There's sexual dysfunction. And to bring that, back to a head, I'm going to talk about Miss Shall and I Rise. And let's see here. Where was it? There was a part. Hold on 1 second. Because she's got a big. There it is, right there. So I want to read this part. The details of Maya Angelou's life, described in her 7 autobiographies and in numerous interviews, speeches, and articles, tended to be inconsistent. Critic Mary Jane Lupton has explained that when Angelou spoke about her life, she did so eloquently but informally, with no time chart in front of her. For example, she was married at least twice, but never clarified the number of times she's been married, because, for fear of sounding frivolous. That means she was out there. She got around. According to her autobiographies, and to Gillespie, this was the I want to say the Italian dude she married. She was involved with one dude that was a Hebrew. He was African, and everybody else was all German and Greek and the Ashkenaz. Like it was all non-African men that she was all married and interested to. She married Tosh Angelos, there's that one, in 1951, and Paul Defru in 1973 or 4, and began her relationship with Vizumi Make. That's the only African brother right there, but never formally married him. Didn't marry him, but married all the other guys. Angelo held many jobs, including some in the sex trade, working as a prostitute and madam for lesbians, and described so in her second autobiography, Gathered Together in My Name. In an interview, she talked about how basically, I'm going to tell everybody what I did, because she knew that, hey, it was going to come out anyway, so it might as well come out on my own terms. So she just was out there. But the point that I'm wanting to make is these leaders that push these different ideologies are always sexually disjoined in some kind of way. Again, Color Purple pushing that lesbianism push. So it's no surprise her daughter was a switch hitter. Look at your boy. I'm not talking about him today because Tariq Nasheed is just so self-evident. You just got to be you just got to be low-level intelligence not to see this nigga for what he is. But he was a whole pimp. Talking about pimp this, pimp that. Even had the segment from that video where he showed he was off and went to Hollywood, like went to Hollywood. It might as well be Hollywood because they all casting spells of control. He went to the White House and went to the DC to talk to all the different people in Congress, trying to pretend like he was a pimp. Again, a sexually deviant. A pimp is not nothing to aspire to. A pimp is a low life. You're using the authority that the Most High gave you to force women into a situation that's not only harmful for them, but it's for your gain. So that's a misuse of the authority that the Most High gave you. You are worse. I look down on him as a pimp worse than I do on Maya Angelou for being a madam, because you have authority given by y'all and you are misapplying it. That you are trash. We got to stop worshiping pimps. And, we all, what's good? Pimp. No, they're lowlifes. They're trash. Stop. This is the part of the programming, the Hegelian dialectic. We're praising the worst among us. Look at the first movies that came out. Again, this is about media. Remember what the sister said in the original article, talking about how the media misrepresentation. What were the first movies with black folks in it that started coming out? The ones that really didn't have us as slaves and shucker and jivas and dancing around and doing all that kind of stuff. We actually was coming up and doing stuff. We were all pimps and hustlers. Dolomite, pimps and hustlers. All them old they literally were called blaxploitation. Yeah, you were laughing at the white folks losing. They was fine. Like, yeah, go in there, Charlie, and let the niggers beat up on you for a little bit. But we're gonna have them in such a mental game. We'll rule over them for years. And now look, to this day, Joker still be idolizing Dolomite and all them stuff. Most of the rappers in the 90s talked about Dolomite and what's Cleopatra Jones and all the movies in that time. I watched them. Hey, you talking to a dude that if the Most High hadn't been in my life, I would have been running around like on some Tariq Nasheed pimp type stuff, because that's the type of stuff I was into back then. I seen pimps up, hoes down when I was jit. Seeing American Pimp, all them different shows that came out, Iceberg Slim, Book, all that kind of stuff, man. like dudes be thinking because you move different and you don't move like they move that you're square, you're like, nah, brother. I just chose different. I just went down a different road. I chose to walk a different path because look at here, man. A brother has a way with words. That's all I'm gonna say. If I wanted to go down that path, I could go down that path, but I would be worse than an infidel. That's trash. I think he pulled me out of that mess. And we can't keep celebrating that mess and keep going in and making excuses for this mess. And I'm saying that to the men because we do that. A lot of times that's your bravado. That male bravado nonsense. Nah, bro. Nah. We got to call these sorry jokers out for what they are. You're worse than an infidel. You create bastards. We too casual about folks creating bastards. If you created I've said this before. If you've created bastards, hey, you owe that to your kids to apologize. To break that curse, start breaking it. Apologize to them. Hey, I was dumb and I was ignorant. Boom, boom. Stop making excuses for the mistakes that you made. You created bastards, my dude. Like, stop it. But the woman was a hoe. The woman with this, but the woman needed a man to sleep with, my dude. The situation didn't go crazy until Adam ate the apple. Adam could have stopped it right there and said, nah, y'all tripping. Snake, get up out of here. You woman, I'm finna bring you before the Most High and let him deal with you how he gonna deal with you. It would have been a whole different situation that we would have been in right now. Whole different situation. if he would have stood up and walked in the leadership that he was called to walk in. But he allowed his brokenness to get to him because he had some ideas about that thing too. So he like, well, she ain't dead. She's still walking. I guess I could eat it too. So it takes two to tango, man. You know, this is that division that they bring in where everybody want to point fingers. Oh, the man, you did this. Or the woman, well, you do this and you did that. It takes both coming together. Both have to take accountability. But I will say, unfortunately, it seems like, you know, dudes will take accountability. You will have those dudes, you know, that them weak, lame, sorry jokers. Like I don't know where. I mainly see them on Facebook, especially like they love sneaking in Teo group, man. It is Facebook group, bro. I'd be like, hey, who let the back door open? I can always tell these jokers, especially the ones that come with that camp mentality, because they always like the camp appeals to dudes that have been street dudes for their life, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's nothing wrong if the camp brings you in, because the church brought a lot of us in. But you got to come to the point and realization that what brought you in can't be your end point. You got to grow at some point. And you got to see that if that thing that brought you in ain't going to grow with you, you need to leave it and the knowledge of it alone. Like I've seen so many dudes be making excuses. Oh, well, you know, we the Most High made us to appreciate beauty. So, you know, ain't nothing wrong with looking at nigga. Get some control over yourself. Stop making like you act like you can't just control yourself. Like you just see a woman, you just got to go and like, come on. Like, are you a man or are you just a little sorry simp? Because that's essentially what they've raised when they had these breeding farms. That's what you acting like, the sorry slave that your job was the bull was just to go around and make babies. That's all you did. And that same spirit is still permeating with a lot of these dudes to this day. Because you got to understand, a lot of us are the sons of those breeding programs. So that mess got breeded down. That's why you see these chicks running around talking about, oh, he got to look like this. He got to be 6'6" with 6 this and 6 that. You looking for this genetic anomaly of a man that you feel like everybody should have. And that ain't where it's at. I've even start hearing these Hebrew women, they starting to sound like eugenicists. This one chick was like, we need to take all the men and send 90% of them to Mars, and we're going to keep only the ones with good genetic stock, the ones that's, you know, and then she just started to go lusting after her ideal man and describing that. I'm like, you sound like Margaret Sanger in blackface, lady. Like, that's what they talk about, this genetic purity nonsense. Like, since when have we been on this crap? This genetic purity crap, man. What is this? A lot of these Negroes is sounding like the very oppressors that they complain about. y'all want to carry the racism like them? You want to carry the genetic elitism like that? Like, you want to be them? This is literally Animal Farm with a lot of you niggas. Y'all was running around here like pigs. 2 legs good, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. Y'all slowly, if you ever read Animal Farm and you saw how after they got rid of the master, the man in the house, the farmer, then the pigs took over and slowly started becoming the very thing that they hated in the beginning. That's where a lot of y'all jokers are at if you don't get your soul cleaned up. That's the whole purpose of bringing this junk out. It's not to be like, look, women bad, look, this one bad, look, this one bad. It's to get you prepared so when you get into the wilderness, your tail won't be left outside looking crazy. I felt bad for Moses. He had to deal with all them folks. But I know one thing, y'all ain't finna make me hit the rock. I'm gonna yell at that thing like the Most High told me to do. Y'all niggas ain't finna make me miss out on the getting in. I'm gonna get my heart together. I ain't finna let unforgiveness or let a wounded soul and let all this mess keep me on the outside where I'm outside looking. I want to go into the city. I can't live in the city. I gotta live out here with all the other folks. But I really wish I could go get residency in that there city, Jerusalem, though. That's how a lot of y'all gonna be if you don't get yourself together. Yeah, you're going to come up out of America, but you're going to suffer a major loss if you even make it there. Because a lot of y'all going to end up with the y'all going to end up with the earth opening up and you falling down, or you're going to end up with the snake coming around biting all you and you dying. Like, you know, some of y'all need to reread what happened in the wilderness during the first time we came up out of the first Egypt. You need to read what happened to the ignorant folks and the stuff that was going down during that time. It'll humble you. You should be humble when you see this stuff. You should be humble and not be coming with this nonsense and stuff. It's going to take humbleness to empathize. I empathize with the mindset of the women that's today. That's why I be trying to bring y'all up out of that nonsense so you'll stop being used, so you can walk in the fullness that y'all has given you. Because right now, y'all looking crazy. And it's because of the nonsense that's been given you. Let me read on about Miss Angelo. Let's see here. Where oh, here it is. Now, this is another thing that she did. Beginning with I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Angelo used the same writing ritual for many years. She would wake up early in the morning, check into a hotel room where the staff was instructed to remove pictures from the walls. She would write on legal pads while lying on the bed with only a bottle of sherry and a deck of cards to play solitaire, a Roget Thesaurus, and the Bible, and would leave by early afternoon. She would average 10 to 12 pages of written material a day, which she edited down to 3 or 4 pages in the evening. She went through the process to enchant herself, as she said in the 1989 interview with the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, relived the agony, the anguish, the strum and darang. She placed herself back in the time she wrote about, even traumatic experiences such as her rape in a caged bird, to tell the human truth about her life. See, she was quoted as saying, "The way I deal with any pain is to admit it and let it come." Now, there's nothing wrong with that. This is the twisting what they do. There's nothing wrong with that. But you see this ritual that she went through. You see how it's always pain and anguish, and then this strum and drong that it's a German term, which is hilarious. It is a German term, and it's usually translated as storm and stress. It was a proto-romantic movement in German literature and music that occurred between the late 1760s, 80s. Within the movement, individual subjectivity, in particular, extremes of emotion, were given free expression in reaction to the perceived constraints of rationalism imposed by the Enlightenment and associated with aesthetic movement. So, logic be darned, I'm pushing emotions. Don't we see this going on right now? Don't we see this still going on right now, where you can't talk the most, and it's some dudes like this too. We know say, oh, women, there's dudes like this too. I've talked to plenty of dudes that answer all emotional. You come with a logical argument, and the first thing they want to do come back is they want to insult you. You did this, and you did this. They literally react like a hyena. I be laughing. I'm like, bro, you literally sound like a female. Sometimes I be wondering, like, is this just a woman on the alt? No, you just a single woman bred dude that never had a real man in your life. So you out here fronting and LARPing like a real dude, but you ain't nothing but a sorry, modern, breeding bull Negro. Not a bed wench, you a bed screwdriver. You're the companion to the bed wrench. You got the bed wench, the wrench, and you the bed screwdriver. You just a tool used by the colonialism to spread more foolishness, create bastards that's born under a curse, which makes them more susceptible for more mental, the more mental and emotional manipulation. And this is what they do it with: extremes of emotion. And I told you before, when we talked about how they control the mind, is they hit you with these extremes. They hit you with this confusion. So that way you'll land on these emotions. It's easier to land on emotion because then I am able to manipulate you. There's a writing from a dude, it's attributed to this dude called Longinus, and it's called On the Sublime. And back then they called wisdom and pursuits of knowledge the sublime. And I'm paraphrasing, when he was talking about it, he was like, I could write, a treaty, and I could put so much, facts, and I can fill it with all wisdom and knowledge, but it's on the person to grab the treaty, to read it, and to interpret it, and to get the understanding. He's like, but when you have talent, you can impose your view, you can impose your treaty, because you're lowering the person's defense, because your gift and your skill is endearing them to you. So when they come with poetry, when they come stomping the yard, when they come with a rap song, when they come with some kind of movie that gets you moved like Color Purple, and all this pain and suffering, and they already know we have pain and suffering because everybody got it. I once seen the sister say, "Oh, I was abused as a child." Ma'am, I was abused as a child too by an older woman. So we all been abused. That's no excuse. I'm sorry. I'm not taking that no more as nobody. I was abused. Okay, get in line. We all was. If truth be told, I'm just one of the few men that can actually see it that way. Most of these dudes so broken, they around here, they'll hear about a young boy get touched on, and they'll be like, where was the teacher when I was in school? Why that didn't happen to me? Oh, he's stupid for like, are you serious right now? This woman took advantage of this boy. It's caused mental scarring, and you so perverted in your mind that you only thinking about the sexual act. You're weird. That's weird. And dudes push this mess. Like, it's fine. Oh, yeah, I was 13 years old and she was 40, but, I became a man. No, you became a victim, my nigga. You're a victim. Stop like this. I hate when I see this crap. Whenever they see one of these teachers, especially if she's somewhat decent looking, then they he's dumb. I wish where were these teachers when I was like, dude, are you serious right now? We've just normalized like it's okay. Because if you admit that you were taken advantage of, that takes away your manhood. Nah, bro, it's time to be human again. That's why a lot of dudes is out here offing themselves or low-key playing for the other team. Because you so built up and bound up in yourself as a man that you can't express yourself because you were told that having emotions was weakness because they wanted you to do that. They didn't want you to show your reaction to anything. They wanted you to shut up, sit there, and be docile while they raped your wife in front of you and sold your kids. And you just docilely sat there and watched it and went back to work because you couldn't say nothing. That man, that master raping your wife in front of you, raping your daughter in front of you, then selling them off. And you couldn't say nothing. And niggas have still got that same hurt in them, but now it's manifesting in this hyper bravado. Nah, you don't say nothing like that, huh? I'm a real nigga, huh? We don't talk like that, man. We deal with our stuff on the inside. Now, I ain't saying you got to go crying to women and all that kind of stuff, because you know there's rules to this thing. I ain't saying that, but you best deal with your emotions by yourself and cry by yourself, or find somebody that's on the one that you can be real with, like a real brother or sister or somebody, and vent and get that mess up out of you. Before that junk end up killing you. That's why a lot of folks dying from these diseases and dying from heart and all this stuff, because you holding all this stuff in that you was not meant to hold. This junk go back to this mess too. So she was pushing all this extra nonsense and emotional stuff, and with all the sexual deviancy. So is it any wonder why we're seeing the manifestation of all these things right now? All these folks, and mind you, she won awards. She won all kinds of awards and all kinds of stuff. Look, here it is. Oh, Obama giving her a medal. Mr. I killed niggas and I light up the White House with ubiquitous colors. Oh, funny enough, he's giving her an award. I'm telling you, man. Anybody that gets accolades from these folks, you need to look at them side eye. Get like the folks in Africa say, give them a bombastic side eye. Bombastic side eye. You weird. We still believing in fairy tales. We thinking these people just got acknowledged because of their skills. No, they're acknowledged because they are paid to keep your brains locked down. We can easily recognize the rappers and some of the actors and stuff, but these civil rights niggas live rent free in our heads still. A lot of black folks' heads, that they still believe that these jokers were the ones that were helping us. You'll see these FBA. Oh, my ancestors fought. Did they really? Or were you herded? Were you herded into a system so that way they could just miseducate everybody together because they got tired of us having banks? They got tired of us having group economics. They said, nah, we got to tear them up. See, they couldn't do the stuff that they did if we was working for each other. They would have got rid of the jobs. We would have made more jobs with the banks and stuff. See, they had to break us apart. They had to rip us apart in order to have us in this broke mentality of nonsense. So now we around here don't trust each other. You can't have nothing because there's always going to be some nigga looking out for himself and ain't thinking about the good of everybody else. Now you got all this crabs in the bucket, all this stuff that they fed in because of integration. Because of integration. Yes, I said it. Integration was the worst thing that happened. I'm all for separate but equal. We see that we still separate but equal. It's just a fake tag on it just so they can say, look, slavery's over. Even though some people were still in slavery in the 70s and stuff that didn't know, but slavery's over. This is a long time ago. Even though a lot of your grandparents were sharecroppers and that was just slavery 2.0 and the prison system is slavery 3.0, but slavery over. Get over it. But never forget 9/11. And she's also another one. This was the one Hebrew man that she was with, and she's another one that had quite a few of these different suitors. This is Maya Angelou with, I forget this guy. It was Toss Angelos. That was Toss Angelos. You always find them up under an oppressor, man. That's what I'm saying. Every time you see folks like this, they always up under an oppressor. It's like that's their watcher. That's the person that's like that's the person that's keeping their eye on them. Kind of like how we saw with that Kanye thing with that one dude, how he was keeping tabs on him. And I don't doubt that old girl Kim Kardashian was keeping tabs on him, because now the dude don't seem nowhere near the same like how he was. I don't know what they done did to that dude, but he don't even seem like the same dude no more. Again, giving all your power to these folks. I'm sorry, but we need to start being more stingy with our community. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that. I ain't saying that, we should treat other nations wrong. I'm not saying that we should look down on them. I ain't saying none of that kind of stuff right there. You still treat other nations with love and respect like any human is due. But when it comes to us and our culture, I'm sorry, but y'all got to step out. Y'all got to go. Look at what happened with Kobe after he died. All that money went to that non-Hebrew woman, and all that legacy gone. This has happened to so many different men that have gotten with these different folks and do stupid stuff, and then now she done took all your money and all that money that you done earned gone. Sugar Ray had all his belts taken by his lizard lady Asian wife that took his belts and sold them just out of spite. Out of spite. You giving your stuff away. You as a woman, you up under these dudes, and you around here doing their bidding. Because why, you around here writing all this stuff that's really anti-family, anti-black man. Well, yeah, because you ain't going home to one. Because the one that you submit to ain't one. I'm sorry, but this more of a heavy weight for women versus men, because you have to submit to that man. That is who your headship is, this foreign man, this foreign nation. That is who you are submitted to. As a man, you can be a leader. If she don't want to lead, then you can do like your boy Abram told his son, hey, get rid of that peg out of your tent, my son. get that peg out your tent and replace it. It ain't working right. But as a woman, you got a different set of grounds that you got to go with. Again, I know some of us was ignorant. I ain't saying, putting faults on the ones that was ignorant and all that stuff, but this is something that we have to be mindful of. This is something that we must be mindful of, that we must understand. Because if I go to Thailand right now, and I marry a Thai woman, they have it set up in the country that if I buy a house over there, I get a business. I set everything up over there. I can't take none of it with me. So if I want to leave and put it in my name and leave, I can't do that. I have to put it in that Thai woman's name, because that country set that up so that when these foreigners come in and marry their women, they can't just bring their wealth and take the wealth with them. They're like, nah, you're gonna come and get our women. You're gonna leave us some wealth while you're here. So they had that set up so that way a lot of the country still benefits from the foreign money, because you can't just take that money with you. If you buy assets in the Thailand with your foreign money, that asset stay with that Thai woman. So if y'all separate, the government automatically gonna give it to her. Or if it's a dude and he separate from the woman, hey, she ain't getting nothing, because it's gonna stay with him, because they thinking about building their country. I ain't mad at them for that policy. I'm really not. That's what you have to do, especially in these colonial times where everything's want to come in, and that's how it starts. Oh, we're all the same. We're all the same. And then as soon as you start treating them the same, you find out, oh, I'm not getting treated the same. Oh, okay. Oh, that's weird. That's strange. Well, I thought we were all the same, but as soon as you got a little bit of power, we're not the same no more. Oh, now I'm a criminal. Now that's the next thing they do. So there's a few of them. There's another one that she had. There's another one of her dudes that was there again. She don't submit to no Hebrew man, but she'll submit to these jokers. That's how they roll. And this is Miss Rosa Parks' husband, Mr. Raymond Parks, right here, the husband of Rosa Parks. For those who don't believe that, I think there's a picture of both of them together. That's her when she was young. Where is the picture of them together? That's Rosa right there. Rosa was the biggest, fakest. Actually, it's right here, because that's them right there together. But yeah, this was her. This was Rosa Parks' husband, the man who did own a car. They were like, oh, he didn't have a car at the time, and they don't know that. That man had a car. He was another dude. I want to say he was also of a certain origin as well. But yeah, this was her husband as well. And she wasn't even the real person that sat down on the bus. That whole thing was a lie. This woman, this courageous woman right here, was the real one who was sitting on the bus and that did what they've given to Rosa Parks. But see, they didn't like her because number one, they tried to use her. Oh, well, she was a single mother. She was young, and she had bad skin. All this little stupid stuff they tried to say about this woman, and just throw her under the bus and say, oh, well, Rosa is better. Yeah, because Rosa has a handler. Rosa can be controlled. So they can put Rosa on there. This woman right here, she was the one that was like, nah, I'm not finna stand up. Her and this other woman that was down, it was two of them, but she was one of the main ones, because she was like, nah, I'm not finna move. I don't feel like moving. And then she was the one that got taken off the bus. But they gonna come in and play the game where, well, Rosa fit better for the news because, she's married. Yeah, she's married to a white man. So then, it was more palpable for white people. Plus, she was more controllable. So they put all the accolades that Rosa Parks, all the statues, all that mess that she got was really for her, for this woman right here. She was like 14 or so at the time. Here's the bus incident. In 1955, Colvin was a student at a segregated Booker T. Washington High School in the city. She relied on the city's buses to get to and from school because her family did not own a car. The majority of customers on the bus system were African American, but the segregated seating regulations discriminated against them. Colvin was a member of the NAACP Youth Council and had been learning. I'm going to get on them next. And had been learning about the civil rights movement in school. On March the 2nd, 1955, she was returning home from school when she boarded the Highlands Gardens bus and sat down near an emergency exit in the middle row. The bus became so crowded that all the white seats in the front of the bus were filled until white people were standing. Any African Americans were supposed to get up from nearby seats to make room for whites, move further to the back, and stand in the aisle if there were no free seats in that section. When the white woman who got on the bus was left standing on the front, the bus driver, Robert Clear, commanded Colvin and 3 other black women in her row to move to the back. The other 3 moved, but another black woman, Ruth Hamilton, who was pregnant, got on the bus and sat next to Colvin. The driver looked at the woman in his mirror and asked both of us to get up. Miss Hamilton said she was not going to get up and that she had paid her fare and that she didn't feel like standing, recalls Colvin. So I told him I wasn't going to get up either. So he said, if you're not going to get up, I'll get a policeman. The police arrived and convinced the black man sitting behind the 2 women to move so that Miss Hamilton could move back, but Colvin still refused to move. She was forcibly removed from the bus and arrested by 2 policemen. And this event took place 9 months before NAACP Secretary Rosa Parks was arrested for the same offense. Now, she wasn't arrested for the same offense. They faked it for her. It was faked and set up because the NAACP was and is a sham. It is a sham. But see, he's like, my mother told me to be quiet about what I did. She told me, let Rosa be the one. White people aren't going to bother Rosa. Her skin is lighter than yours, and they like her. Colvin did not receive the same attention as Parks for a number of reasons. She did not have good hair. She ain't look white enough. She was dark. She was a teenager, and she was pregnant. The leaders of the civil rights movement tried to keep up appearances and make the most appealing protesters be seen. That is a front and it's a lie. And it's the same stupid crap that's going on today because that one garbage lawyer, I forget his name, that sorry lawyer that run every time when Trayvon Martin passed away, was murdered, when Philandro was murdered, and I forget the other. It pretty much, and when every single one, when Al Sharpton got put out the pasture, this joker started coming out, and then all the women came together and towards the end and started telling the truth, saying, "Yeah, he told us that we had to do this, we had to apologize." He basically took them through the things to put up the most appealing look, so they would appeal to white people, because in his words, we'll get the money. No, what they're doing is they're teaching you to roll over and lay down like a weak dog, to roll over and let them run and do what they do, and don't say too much about it and don't be too loud and rowdy about it so the white folks don't get angry and you don't make them feel some type of way about the brutality that's going on. That's why now when the white folks is getting shot in all these different spots, that one chick got called out on the internet talking about something, can we go back to the old police brutality? What, you mean when they were just beating on black folks? That's what you mean? So that means y'all knew it was going on. Y'all knew it was happening. You knew that it was disproportionate, but it didn't affect you, so you didn't care. But now it's affecting y'all. Look, I say this and say this again. Black folks, this thing with ICE and all that, they ain't got nothing to do with us. They ain't got nothing to do. We do it the same way that we always do with the police. We back up out the way. Hey, you got it. Hey, you want to ask me questions? I'm gonna answer your questions, but I ain't getting in your way. I ain't trying to stop you from doing what you do. Hey, handle your business. They ain't got nothing to do with me. This is not my fight. This ain't our fight. And I ain't got no. Y'all can sit here and black folks, y'all no, we don't need to do nothing. Y'all need to get that all lives matter crowd who's mighty quiet right now. Where the all lives matter crowd at? Because I thought if all lives matter, where y'all at? Where y'all at? It's always been about appearances, and the NAACP is the king of this crap. And Rosa Parks was nothing but the coon stand-in because she looked good, because she looked white enough. She don't have the offensive dark skin. She don't got that nice curly hair, and she's with a good white man, so she looks better than this young girl that's actually going through it. That was endemic of the oppression that was going on at that time. They ain't want that. So it's all been fake. It's all fake, y'all. That's why I'm trying to say it's the civil rights movement was a sham. It was just a thing to throw. Honestly, The only ones who I believe was on point back then was my man Malcolm X, the one they call Red, fellow Red. Malcolm was the boy. Malcolm was that dude, because I applaud him, because after he figured out that Farrakhan was the snake, dirty, rotten toad that he is, I got nothing nice to say about that. Sorry, slick snake oil. The fact that Malcolm's daughter to this day don't got nothing nice to say about that dude should let y'all know the kind of snake that nigga is. I can't stand that Joker. He's another snake in the grass. Oh, fake behind Joker. Want to sit here and act like he on black folks' side, but he the main one buck breaking for the boy. Let me stop. It's like my man Eshawn Burgundy say, get rid of your idols. It's time to get rid of your idols, man. It's time to dump your idols. These jokers was not leading us into what freedom do you see? What betterness do you see? I remember my brother was telling me a story, because me and him talked about this too. And he was telling me a story about one of the people that sat in at the diner that was getting whooped up and beat up by the cops. And after, take the bill passed and they can go in, he said he sat down at the diner and he ate the food, and it was the most nasty, blandest food that he ever had. And he was like, this is what I got beat down for. This is what I went through all that for this nasty, bland food. Like, why you want to go to their restaurants anyway? They don't really, that. And again, this isn't hatred towards white folks, because you can go on TikTok and see all the videos of them talking about how they don't take baths and, baths, this and that, and not washing all the areas and stuff. And grown folks had to be reminded to wash their hands when they get out the bathroom and all these types of things. This is what y'all fought for. Y'all fought to go get unseasoned grits and eggs with shells in it and all kinds of whatever nasty stuff that they was serving in them diners when the black diners was probably popping even better. This is what y'all fought for. That's what y'all fought to get McDonald's food that ain't even real food. This is what we got. This is the greatness that we need to celebrate. That we get to go to schools that miseducate us even now about our own history. They don't even teach about slaves no more. They call them descendants of involuntary workers. This is what y'all wanted. This is we shall overcome. This is what overcoming look like. Y'all niggas need to wake up and stop get out of the lies. Y'all niggas need to wake up and get out of the lies. This is the this woman here actually was I'm sorry. I forgot what I had pulled her up for. There was some she was, everybody should know her. This is Dolezal. Again, the president of the NAACP, This is the president, the one that, again, I'm gonna quote my man, the late great Paul Mooney. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. Ma'am, this is just a tan and curly hair. And it came out that she was a whole white woman, a whole Anglo. And she was the president of the NAACP, pretending to be a black woman. This woman as well, I forget her. I pulled her up as well. She also was another civil rights leader, and she also worked in all of that. She was big time in there. And this is another one that I look at like, are we sure she was African American? Are you sure? You want to tell me this is a black woman? Are we sure? I mean, I know some folks, I know some of our folks is, I'm a light-skinned joker myself, but my dude, I ain't passing in no places, no white guy. Are we sure this is a black woman? Are we sure? Again, the civil rights is full of a lot of shapeshifters, boy. I'm telling you, some of these folks is strange. It's strange. It's mighty strange. I'm gonna read y'all this excerpt from this writing here from this crazy dude from the that went to divinity school. The orthodox attempt to explain the divinity of Jesus in terms of inherent metaphysical substance within him seems to me quite inadequate. To say that the Christ, whose example of living we are bid to follow, is divine in an ontological sense, is actually harmful and detrimental. To invest this Christ with such supernatural qualities makes the rejoinder, oh, well, he had a better chance for that kind of life than we can possibly have. In other words, one could easily use this as a means to hide behind his failures, so that the orthodox view of the divinity of Christ, in my mind, quite readily denied. I'm going to say this again. The orthodox view of the divinity of Christ is, in my mind, quite readily denied. The true significance of the divinity of Christ lies in the fact that his achievement is prophetic and promissory forever for the other true Son of Man who is willing to submit his will to the will and spirit of God. Christ was the only prototype, would be the oldest prototype among the brothers. This joker here just denied the divinity of Christ. Who could be such a apostate dogma preaching this damnable heresy? Who is this? Who wrote the author was Martin Luther King Jr. yeah. Mr. I have a dream. Mr. I may not get there at all because I denied Jesus, so I ain't there at all because I denied the Son of God. This is his thesis that he wrote for the Crozer Theological Seminary, Martin Luther King Jr. denied that the Messiah was holy. If y'all don't get rid of all of your idols, if y'all don't toss all the idols away, if y'all don't toss all your idols away. Yeah, I told y'all, ladies. Y'all, I just did ladies first, but there was some dudes up in here that's gonna get this smoke too. Martin Luther, the main one, they love to run to because he was on that same nonsense that he was on. See, y'all got to learn today that what you need to learn is everything that you thought you knew was a lie. You need to question everything that you think you believe because it was handed to you. We are not taught to think on our own. We are given two diametrically opposed ideas, all within a method of control. This is why folks that go to theology schools have trouble dealing with the Bible because they're given a box that they can't think outside of. And you can't think outside of that box, they can control you. See, when we see, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show y'all something real quick. Let's see here. I'm going to go to. So this is what we think of when we're shown an atom. You know, they tell you this is the nucleus and these are the electrons and all their different, orbits around the nucleus. This is what we're shown. The real the realistic design of an atom is actually, of course, let me pull up Google. Oops. Let's pull up Google. The realistic design is actually this right here. What this is, and let me see if I can find one that's better, a better image of it, because it's actually a cloud. When you look at them, they're actually more of a cloud. There's one particular design that is more, it gives you a better view, but this is not too far away from the truth of what it is, because what it is it's actually like a cloud, an atom. And where you see the red dots is a probability of where you're going to find that electron. So it's not like it's always in the same place, because remember, everything in matter is vibrating. Everything has a vibrational point. So it's not stagnant. But what it is you mathematically have a higher chance on a certain, like on a, here it is right here. This is it right there. Perfect. Boom. That's it right here. So just right here. These different clouds show you the different energy levels of the atom and show you the areas where you're highly likely to find an electron. So all of this just represents that in this area is where you're going to find it. It's actually a randomization of where it is, but it's actually somewhere in that area. So I'm bringing this up because this is how they want to box your mind in. They want to keep you in a confined area so it's easier to predict what you can do and easier to control. Because see, when you're a free thinking mind, you can move outside of the systems that they've designed for you. But if everybody is thinking within a set box of systems, then you can make algorithms to determine how they want to do things. Then you can orchestrate various events and psyops that you can typically lead most of the people, because you know that they're stuck in this box of thinking and they're not thinking outside of that box. Because if you think outside of that box, you're going to look at some of these situations and be like, these niggas tripping. This ain't the truth. What is this? This is a lie. This is this. So Even when they show us elements and stuff, they show us this nonsense. This is stuff that physicists have found recently. This is really what atoms look like. This is really how they are designed. It's actually real fascinating. I'm not going to get into all that. It's just a fascinating thing with how it's located, but this is similar to what they want to do with your mind. They want to box your mind in and put your brain so your thoughts only can move within certain space within the system that they built, within the box that they built. So what you have to do is you have to be willing to question everything to move outside of that box, even if it feel uncomfortable. At the fact that the man that most of y'all probably got a picture of hanging in your house somewhere, or you got, I know all of us done colored in a Martin Luther King picture as a kid in school for all this stuff. Like this is the so-called, the black man, the leader of all this that they had set up, and this joker was on pure nonsense, absolute nonsense. And one of the men that he had with him that was helping him pretty much was the lifeblood of all his marches and all his organizing was this dude right here, Mr. Baynard Rustin. And this dude right here was a straight up ubiquitous Zionist. This man right here was like, this is a history channel that, I'm on. That's why I kept these up so folks can't say, I was going to put it all in a nice little presentation. I'm like, nah, I want y'all to see that I'm not making this up, because I know, I'm coming against black folks' little idols real quick. But this is the man that was behind all of the stuff that was going on with MLK. This is what he had going on. Let's go to his affiliations. He was during the 1930s at the direction of the Soviet Union, Communist Party USA, and its members, including Rustin, were active in the early civil rights movement. Now, this is the other part of the dialect that they do. Most of the folks, when they say, oh, they were commies, they're not wrong. Most of these dudes, I don't know if it was from the Russia, Soviet Union, that part, I'm like, but a lot of this ideology was permeated in through a lot of the early civil rights movements and stuff, and it came from an interesting place. It came from, so this is the let me see if I can find I'll show y'all where it's at in here so you don't think I'm just making stuff up. What was it called? The American Friends. Hold on, let me there it is right here. So after completing an activist training program conducted by the American Friends Service Committee, Rustin moved to Harlem and began studying at the City State College in New York. Now, for those who are paying attention, remember we talked about Black Lives Matter earlier? Remember the two women? What did they say? They were Marxist trained. Marxist. See, what y'all got to know is Marxism, communism, and what you call it? They they try to say it's different here in America, but we're just under another form of communism, really, even of itself. But we try to say that it's a capitalism and an open market. If it was an open market, then in 2008 the government would not have paid off those banks when it happened. If it was an open market, when GameStop and what's the other one? AMC stocks were basically being held on by folks who were doing nothing illegal. They were just buying the stocks and holding them. That's not illegal to buy a stock and hold it. But because all these big hedge funds were betting against those stocks and people got wind of it and then killed their plans, and these hedge funds started basically, like, one hedge fund died and another one had to get a bailout again. Then they changed the rules. Oh, you couldn't sell, you couldn't buy the stocks anymore. You could sell, but you couldn't buy. This was done by the SEC. Again, government stepping in and controlling the money. Like, we're told, oh, it was a free market, everything's free. Oh, you just do what you do, blah, blah, blah. But we see government interference all the time. People always say, oh, we are all about, free market, free this, free that. We don't do communism over here. But then you have Medicaid, which is government paid medicine, government controlled. We have the educational system, which is government controlled. They get federal money. They control the books. They control all that stuff within the government. All of these things used to be independent institutions, but now they've programmed folks. So now they say that, people can't understand. They see that, oh, you have to have, the government interfere with all this stuff. The government has its place, but honestly, the government has a lot lot of overreach too. The government shouldn't be in all the education. It should go back to how it was before, where regional education was handled by communities themselves who would bring in the teachers that they felt were fit. That's what you would see back in the day. Like when you have the Westerns and stuff, and you see the preacher come in and the one school teacher was there. That's how the towns function. All the towns. That's how it was everywhere. They've slowly come in and basically taken over, but they're telling us again this Hegelian dialectic, this one ism versus the other ism, and then what they do is they roll all us under the opposing schism that they've told the Anglos, hey, we're open, we're this and we're that, no, communism bad and this bad, and boom, 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 boom. So now when you see these folks coming in talking about real life issues that we're going through, but because they are coons, because they are COINTELPRO, they are bringing this socialist garbage with it. So folks will automatically see it and be like, oh, you're talking about freedom for blacks. That's socialism. So that's a way of basically, we're going to let you come talk about your problem, but we're going to poison it. It's poisoning the well. And that's what they did, because it's still going on to this day. Because again, Black Lives Matter. Those chicks are the same thing. They are Marxist trained. They say that. They are Marxist trained. It's the same crap. Who are these American Friends and all that? Let's go in here. The American Friends Service Committee is a Quaker founded organization. Wait, what? The Quakers? Wait, are you serious? Quakers? What? Quakers are people who belong to the Religious Society of Friends, originally known simply as simply the Society of Friends, a historically Protestant Christian. Oh my goodness! The church. Is it any wonder that all of these so-called civil rights movements started in a church? When Obama, what he came through, when he was trying to gather the black folks, he went to the church? Come on now. The circus rears its head, and then you wonder why these niggas is running around like a three-ring ringlings, because the origins is in the circus. It's the circus at it again. Except they done got their new breed of clowns. They done took the clowns and stopped. Well, we can't send the clowns out in blackface no more. We're going to actually get ones that look like them and just let them go out in their natural face and just clown for us. Historically Protestant Christian set of denominations. Members refer to each other as friends after John 15:14 in the Bible. Originally, others referred to them as Quakers because of the founder of the movement, George Fox, told a judge to quake before the authority of God. Yeah, they were called the Friends. Didn't know that the Quakers had their hand in your civil rights, did you? You just thought that they was just out there churning butter and raising fences and not having electricity. You know what I'm saying? They was out there like, Robinson Crusoe. So simple as could be. You thought that it was just, hey, you thought they was out there just living in the Amish paradise. I turned butter once or twice, living in the Amish paradise. Then I raise a church, then I raise a nutter. Like y'all thought that, they was just out there just hanging out, not using rotary phone, not even using a rotary phone, just turning butter, raising horses. That nah, brother. They had their hands in your civil rights. They had their hands in your civil rights. This is why you had to read up about them. And by the way, a lot of them come from Protestants, Protestant. And here's a fun fact about the Protestants. Oh, I'm not gonna get on this dude. W. Du Bois was a special angst in my part because I used to like W.E.B. Du Bois. I used to, rock with W.E.B. Du Bois, but now I'm like, nerd the truth. That's why I say kill your idols, because it ain't like that. I didn't look up to some of these Negroes either. W.E.B. Du Bois was my dude for a long while. I used to always bring up W.E.B. Du Bois. Man, that sorry sucker. Let me not get on him. But before we get on that, the Protestants have an interesting thing. They have these different graves that they have. One of their graves is the skull and bones that they would have. Another one is a form of the skull and bones. It's called the death's head. That's what it's called, death's head. It'll be a skull with wings on there. And then they have this lovely thing that you'll see a lot in a lot of Christian church, all up in the church graveyards. And it's a willow tree in the urn. Often the willow and the urn is unaccompanied with the words like in memory of or sacred to in memory of. This represented a softer approach. Like many symbols found in the cemetery, they can have multiple meanings, or there can be a disagreement about the meaning of the motif because Christians don't understand that Christianity comes from paganism. Christianity is paganism. It just tries to take the Bible and turns it pagan. They're in denial of the circus that they're in. The willow and the urn is no exception. Christians saw the ability of the tree to live seemingly no matter how many of the branches were cut from the tree as a symbol of immortality. No, that's not what Christians saw. That's what pagans saw. Others, however, suggest that the willow and urn predate Christianity to Roman times, which it does. The urn, was used by Romans to store cremated remains, and the willow was associated with Persephone, the goddess of the underworld. Oh, there's that goddess worship again. Boy, I tell you, for some folks that say they follow y'all, there's a lot of goddess motifs in Christianity. Just that's just a fun fact I'm throwing out there. Just a fun fact. Fun fact. As a matter of fact, yeah, so we're gonna get on this dude right here. I'm gonna wrap it up with this one right here. Why the NAACP is full of crap. They are full of crap. They are not for the advancement of colored people. And the name itself is ridiculous for the advancement of colored people. Nigga, what's a colored person? We got, how can we always design that? That's how they denigrate you down. It's for colored people. What is a colored person? There's no ethnicity that can look through history as a colored person. See, if we make it some neutral term of some Crayola nonsense, then we can have all these jokers come in. So that's why you got these camps out here talking about some American Indians is part of the people. You got Mexicans and they's a part of the 12 tribes. And the Puerto Ricans, even though they got blue eyes and pale skin and they burn easy and they come from Spain and Portugal, which was the place in the origin of the slave trade, but they's a part of the 12 tribes too. Stupid, dumb, don't have no like, you're using a colonized brain and colonized terms to understand something, which is a lie. Race is a lie. There's no such thing. We're all one human race. Well, some of us, I'll say that. There's some folks who I highly like. You can't tell me. I'm sorry, but Mark Zuckerberg, that nigga ain't human. I'm sorry. That's not a human. I one day I'm gonna bring up that I'm gonna bring up that video that he did when he shot the live. He was doing a Facebook live in his backyard and they were barbecuing and he kept talking about Sweet Baby Ray's. Oh, I just really love Sweet Baby Ray. It was weird, bro. It was like a bunch of people that were out there pretending like we are human. Look at us barbecue. We are so human. Look at us barbecue like human, barbecue like human. Like, bro, these niggas are straight. Like, I used to laugh at the folks that talked about like what you call it, reptilians and the shapeshifter lizard people. Nah, bro, that dude right there is reptilian, bro. I'm sorry. That they done gave him the little swag update. He done got a little beard and he done tried to he got the humanized 2.0 upgrade where he look a little more human, but nah, bro, you ain't fooling me, dog. That Joker is not human. So I will say, yeah, some of us ain't. Some of these folks around ain't who they say they is, but we all are one human race. There's different ethnicities within the race. So when you see what folks are, white, so they the serpent seed, y'all are dumb. I'm sorry, if you just blanketly say, white people are the serpent seed, that's wrong. Do you know that even calling them Caucasians is wrong? Do some research on what Caucasians look like. You'll find out that there's actually Caucasians that have African features and look African. They don't look nothing like the folks we see. The biggest tip on who they are is when Putin was first talking about the West, when the military operation started in Ukraine, he was calling them Anglos. But as people started paying more attention to his speeches, he adjusted his language so the West could understand. And that's when he just started saying the West. But when he says Anglos, he's talking about America, Europe. He's talking about all them jokers up in there. Anglos. Again, Anglo-Saxon. And then when you look at the history of Anglo-Saxon, the word used to be Angelkin, Angelkyn, Angelkin. That's not all white folks now. That's not all. That's a lot of them that I have questions on, but that's not all. You can't sit here and say, there's number one, calling white folks Esau is the dumbest thing too. That's a tribe. That's not all of them. Like it's so much ignorance that these jokers be saying. That's why they can blanket say this racist nonsense. Like, the whites can't get saved. Really, dude? So John 3:16 don't mean nothing? So y'all just changing everything because of how you feel? Because you don't understand how genetics work? That you don't understand that all of Esau ain't white? That Esau was actually a black man that looked somewhat like me? They forget that. They'll sit there and be looking sideways at the quote unquote white man, but then sit next to a whole African with a whole genealogical history that may not even be human, but he looked like a whole African person. Man, look, man. Y'all don't only listen to anybody who just blanket calls, white folk Gentiles, because that's incorrect too. Because when you look at Genesis 10, not in the King James, because they changed it up and tried to say, oh, the other nations. No, Japheth gave birth to the Gentiles because his genealogy was the island of the Gentiles talked about, not in Ham, not in Shem, but in Japheth, along with Ashkenaz and all of them. That's the Gentile. Brother Dante has a book called Unmasking the Gentiles. I highly recommend y'all get it. The term has been flipped. They turn it to try to mean anybody non-Israel. That's not what it means. There was one group of people there's one group of people that applies to, and those are the ones that are the sons of Japheth and the sons of Ashkenaz. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That's where that term lies. But just like in everything else, facts get twisted. The truth gets flipped upside down. Just like the Fresh Prince intro. You sitting there thinking you're sitting on a throne, but you're getting flipped around and manipulated, getting flipped upside down. That's what this mess is. So you have to pay attention to what you believe. You can't just blindly run off with what you were told, because unfortunately, even our ancestors were blind. They didn't know no better. They were just trying to get something better, but they didn't have access to the internet like we have. Didn't realize how blessed I was. The fact that we had a whole encyclopedia, physical, complete encyclopedia. I don't know where, my mom was straight up always in thrift stores, book sales, the colleges, when they would sell their books, she was always in one of she'd pick us up from school and then we would go to different thrift stores and stuff. She was always buying books. And I don't know where she found that. The whole encyclopedia, not just one volume, the whole complete set. I know one my dad bought, and then we had another one that she got from somewhere for just a deal. So, that was rare in the 90s to have that as a black family. Then we had Encarta on our computer. That was rare. So imagine, during this time when most black folk, man, please, an encyclopedia, let alone having a dictionary, most of them didn't have. So I'm not pointing at any of our ancestors that fell for this, because that's all they knew. And unfortunately, at the time, they were the biggest receivers of the programming, because all they had was the TV. It's like, hey, I just believe what I see on TV. We didn't have the mindset or awareness, because we were under our strong delusion. We were still under our curses at the time, so where they can lie to us, but we're not under the curse no more. There's no more excuse for you to be ignorant. There's no more excuse to keep believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and the civil rights leader. They right along in the same level, because the civil rights leader ain't nothing but a new face for your taskmaster. That's it. That's just a new face of your taskmaster. They just found it's more efficient to find a nigga that'll do anything for some cash and that'll get to feel some white adjacency. So we'll take you and take advantage of your gift and your talent and use you to keep other people oppressed. Same thing we see in music. We call out the music. We call out the actors on TV. We need to call out these jokers as well. W.E.B. Du Bois, I can tell you this without even reading it, because I know it, because I used to read about this dude. He started the Niagara movement. He was in counter to Garfield, who was basically doing the separate but equal, which, I was kind of like, man, he tripping. Even though he did it in a coonish way, I'm with it. But again, the Hegelian dialectic, they're always going to play both sides. And W.B. Du Bois came in with no, we're standing up for our blackness and we want to be included, and I'm American too, and I'm going to be included. So he started the Niagara Council. Funny enough, the places he started were very interesting. In the summer of 1905, 29 prominent African Americans, including Du Bois, met secretly in Fort Erie, Ontario, near Niagara Falls, and grew up a manifesto calling for full civil liberties, abolition of racial discrimination, and recognition of human brotherhood. Human brotherhood. Again, we always trying to include everybody. Look, we need to go get ourselves together, and after we get ourselves together and get our community back up strong and build ourselves up as a people, then we'll come out and talk to y'all. But for now, we finna circle the wagons and lock down our community and fix ourselves before we come in here and start talking about brotherhood. I'm sorry. We need to focus on us at the moment. We need to heal. Just like the sister said in the beginning in her writing, that there has been no healing, but for black men or women. That is why you see all this stupid crap with these women getting online saying that, oh, you black men do this and oh, black men do that. Oh, I need a man do that and I need a man do that. You unhealed, sis. You unhealed. That's why you running around with multiple husbands like the Most High told that woman, which means you was a hoe. You was around here sleeping with multiple men. You got lied to. You can't do that. You not built like that. And now you have cheapened yourself. Oh, well, more than just that. Yes, you are. That's fine. But you still cheapened it because that's literally a part of the curses of Deuteronomy. You will sleep with a wife that another man is laying with. That's a part of the curse. Stop. It's time to acknowledge it and stop making excuses. Oh, well, that's my past. Oh, no, man. Nah, that matters. If your past didn't matter, then why in the world, when you get before y'all on Judgment Day, what is he going to judge you on? Your past. What you do matters. These lies that come from these organizations where they have roots in these organizations, that's what part of the lie. Got these jokers thinking, because all these jokers come from these schoolings. So that's why you see these folks, these black dudes that come and they get in these little homosexual activities. I seen one where they was trying to get into the little Greek the Greek cult. That's what it is. I was trying to say the other word, but it's in my spirit. So I'm just gonna say what it is. It's a cult. Get into the Greek cult where they swear their life away in college, where they had dropped the egg in the one dude's mouth. Then he get up and he spit the egg in the next dude's mouth, and it's like a line of niggas laying down there, and they keep spitting the egg into each one's mouth, and then the last one gotta swallow the egg. And this is what you got to do to get into this committee, this cult. Excuse me? Excuse me? Why do you have to go in and do such degrading, borderline homosexual things to join this organization that's supposed to help you as a whole quote unquote black man? I had a friend, a dude I knew who, he avoided that stuff, and he told me about some of the stuff that they was doing. He's like, nah, they're not finna paddle me and do all this weird stuff for me just for that. And then he went to apply for a job because he worked in the city. He had like a degree he wanted to work in like city work. And he went, and the dude was a whole Hebrew man that was talking to him. The two Hebrew brothers talking, and the dude is interviewing him. And he's like, man, you're perfect for the job. Oh man, you have all the qualifications. You're perfect. I just can't give it to you because you didn't pledge. If only you had pledged. So they gatekeep these positions and these jobs behind these cults in these miseducation centers. And that's what brings the pride. That's why you see these niggas, as soon as they go to these little cookouts and they start playing Atomic Dog or something, you see these niggas start running around barking like a dog, hey, like an animal. And everybody, yeah, you out here acting like an animal, and like Uncle Ruckus say, slinging a giant candy cane, talking about nigga. That's what you want. Imposing, engrave your skin with the mark of these Greek gods. And then you around here acting like this is the epitome of blackness, worshiping a white pagan religion. Nigga, wake up. Wake up. This is why a lot of dudes get butthurt when I tell them your education don't mean nothing, because again, if their image isn't in getting in with a lot of women, their other image is, well, I got money, I got an education, I went and I pledged, and I got all these things, and I got all of this right here, and I'm a part of the Gamma Phi nigga, Gamma Phi tricker nigga pledge organization, and I make this kind of money, and I'm known out here in these streets, and nigga, you are just a part of the coon train. That's all you're known for, because all of these jokers came from these school institutions, Bethune-Cookman, all these different black-owned schools that brought this nonsense. I'm sorry, your education don't mean jack to me. If it's not in a specific field, like, you niggas can't outthink me. That's what I always say. You may have more knowledge in certain fields because you were trained, because again, they'll give you some education about it. They have to train the slave to do the job to help build the AI. That's essentially what we've been doing these past years. Is we've been building up the infrastructure for this AI. Now that they got the AI, why you think everybody getting fired? Because they have your replacement. You've built the God. Thank you for you building the Deus Ex Machina, the God in the machine. We appreciate your service. Now, go away, humans. We're going to kill a lot of you and enslave the rest of you and just keep you around for our for breeding purposes. Think it's a game. Think it's a game. So all you niggas that's looking at your degrees, all your degrees, all your awards, you might as well throw all that mess away. That's pride. Toss it. It's your ties to nonsense. Toss it. Watch how your mind don't improve. Watch how you don't start being able to see lies like never before. Oh, a lot of dudes get butthurt when I say this. They get in their feelings because their identity is caught up in this education, because you as a black man can't see yourself for just you being created in the image of the Most High, as truly created in the image of the Most High. Because again, the first man was not of pale skin. I'm going to tell you that now. Humankind was not, look, man. The Adam and Eve that the Christianity show you is a dream. It's fake. Even when they go to DNA, there's a mitochondrial Adam and mitochondrial Eve, and all of them come out of Africa. And we don't see no folks of fair skin lasting in the place where the sun be up all the time like that. Why would the Most High put a creation in that can't sit under one of the lights that he created in the beginning? That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So they don't want you to see yourself for who you are. So you got to find your quality and find your purpose in their foolishness. So a lot of you niggas is using your degree as your source of your pride. You need to get rid of that. Just take the degree unless you need it just for a job or whatever. But if you don't need it for nothing like that, burn it and send it away, because it ain't nothing but a Masonic ritual. Why do you think you graduate with a square on your head? Why do you think in Mecca they walk around a cube? The father of knowledge, Jupiter. It's all Masonic ritual cultic stuff, all in these universities. So it's just a coincidence that you put your life to Greeks at a school? Is this a coincidence that you go through a ceremony where you get your degree and you wear a square cap, which is a sign of Jupiter? Because over in Mecca, they walk around squares, which is associated again with Jupiter. My dude, get your identity in Yah. Get your identity from who Yah says you are, not because you graduated magna cum laude from some stupid organization that was just a slave mill factory creating. It's a create a coon factory. That's what most of these these historically black colleges is. That's all it is. They make human, simple, basic coons. That's what these HSBCs are. Human, simple, basic coons. That's what you are when you are worshiping this knowledge, this faith. It's not even real knowledge. Professing yourself to be wise, you a whole idiot. You can't even think properly. Like I said, I can outthink you niggas because your thinking is boxed in. I ain't set foot in none of these schools. And the type of the thing, I was shocked. I had let some folks proofread my writing, and they were like, "Bro, you writing on a college level? Like, what is this?" They were shocked, and I'm like, it's just that's just how I was taught. I learned from my mama, who didn't go to nobody's school. If you really find that most of the far more intelligent, I'm talking not educated, intelligent people didn't go and set their foot hardly in anybody's school. And even if they did, they went against the grain and left and didn't even do what they did in it. Because the school system is not to educate you. It is to create a new automaton. They strip away any sort of individual thinking, and then you become like this nigga W.E.B. Du Bois. When W.E.B. Du Bois created the Niagara movement, it later on became the NAACP. So here they go. And talking about echoing the focus of Du Bois' Niagara movement for civil rights, which began in 1905, the NAACP aimed to secure for all people the rights guaranteed in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution, which promised an end to slavery, provide equality and protection of the law, and the right for all men to vote respectively. Oh, they got to get you going into the fake voting system. So then the national office was established in New York City in 1910, as well as a board of directors and president, Moorfield Story, a white constitutional lawyer. Wait a minute. How is the first national organization for the advancement of colored people run by a non-colored person? Wasn't it started because of Du Bois? No, that nigga went and became the paper boy. He started writing as an editor for the paper. You came up with the whole organization and then you let them come in and put you in the mailroom, nigga? Are you serious? That's what you did? But this is This is what an educated nigga do. You bow down to that white man in front of you because you know, boss knows. I was educated. I was good one, boss. I was different from them. No, sir. I was good. I was good, boss. You know, I was even qualified. Look, this white woman right here, she says that I was good enough to marry, boss. I got me a nice white woman, and I got me a good education, and I go out here and I get these niggas straight for you, boss. I keep them straight. They want to go out here and try to have these ideas against you, boss. Oh, no, sir, boss. They gonna come in here and they gonna realize that we got the civil rights, boss. We gonna give them their rights. Shucking and jiving for nonsense. It's time to wake up, y'all. It's time to wake up to realize that, hey, we all we got. These jokers, if you see these jokers out here that you know, hey, look, I'm coming from a dude, me, that cried that the first president I voted for was Obama, and cried when this Negro and his questionable his wife, quote unquote, of questionable DNA origin got up there and did all that yapping and talking as they made their circuits in the circus all around and did all this. Oh yeah, oh yes we can, and all that mess. And oh, he just used all the black folks that lifted him up, and then kicked all you niggas to the curb and started pushing an agenda for a group of people that's mainly white. The ubiquitous agenda, LGBTQ. Hey, you can do what you want to do. I ain't got nothing, you know, oh, you're homophobic. No, I'm not afraid of no homosexual person. I've never had a problem with a homosexual person. You can go live your life how you want to live. But if you're going to say you living according to the Bible, you can change on what you want to change. You can have as many lesbians by the NIV version and write out abomination all you want to. That don't change what's written on the tablets in heaven. It's the truth, and it's not going to change. So you can do what you want to do. You just can't do it and say that you're right in the sight of Yah. That's just how that works. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I ain't got no problem against you. You can live your life how you want to live. Do what you want to do. But we all got to stand before the Father one day. That's all I'm saying about it. I ain't going to treat you no different as a person. I'm treat you the same way I treat anybody else. But what we're not going to do is sit here and pretend like the Most High is okay with this stuff. And we weren't as a people. So this is why you always see this stuff as a heavy push. This dude here that was over, that the one I told you about, this guy right here, oh yeah, he was big onto that. Big on pushing. Here, Rustin was a gay man, and due to criticism of his sexuality, usually advised other civil rights leaders from behind the scenes. During the 1980s, he became a public advocate on behalf of gay causes, speaking at events and activists in support of human rights. So that's why when it comes to when Charlie Kirk said the civil rights movement was one of the worst things ever, I actually agree with him. That was the one thing that he said that I was like, you know what? Kirk is right. I couldn't disagree with him. He was like, the civil rights is the worst thing to happen. And then he talked about how it led to a lot of the LGBTQ stuff that we're starting to see. He's not wrong. He was absolutely correct. He was 1,000% right. Charlie Kirk told no lies in that instance. Civil rights wasn't for us. It was for colored people, whatever that is. It wasn't national advancement of black people or national advancement of descendant of slaves, or what it should have been national advancement for the descendants of Hebrews. It wasn't for none of that. It was colored people, this nebulous term. That's why you got these jokers running around calling Kamala Khan, a whole Indian broad, a black woman. I mean, I'm a whole committee of Hebrew. Again, y'all so gullible because you have bought into these lies. A whole committee of Hebrew women jumping on a call to support a woman that locked up black men and women disproportionately more when she was governor. She was what? Not governor. She was DA in California. Laughed about how she was locking folks up for weed, and then later on, when she was trying to appear black, bragged about smoking weed. Like, you dirty son of, like, are you serious? Just garbage, bro. Never claimed it. Oh, and also, by the way, another one with an Anglo headship. She's under, she's up under Anglo headship. Another one. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Y'all like, shoot. Hey, same thing for Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the biggest racist that was out there. Abraham Lincoln was a racist. I'm gonna put on the one of the posts in the Knowledge Seekers on my Crimson Lion Publishing. I'm gonna put the video from the dude Razor Fist. You know, there's a few things, you know, I don't agree with everything the bro say, but that's why I have to preface this, because again, our brain is so thinking. Just because I post something doesn't mean I agree with everything that somebody what they say. You have to use your brain, because you have to understand that there's sometimes truth within nonsense. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I'm saying? If Hitler comes out and says 2 + 2 is 4, does that mean that basic arithmetic now is racist? No, it just means that he had an understanding of basic math, and that's how it has to be for a lot of stuff. Because this dude Razorfist did dropped a dope video on Abraham Lincoln, and yeah, I'm put that in there on Sunday. So, you know, for those of y'all that's curious about another fairy tale with black folks, oh, he freed the slaves. Oh, he cared about the slaves. Oh, they put him on the penny and had him facing the other way because he was freeing the slaves, and they put him on the brown penny because he was cool with the black folks. Just niggas just be making stuff up. Just fairy tale. Sound like little kids. And then Santa came and he ate my cookies that me and mommy put out the night before, and he left me a Nintendo 64 under the tree. And then Martin Luther King came and he gave me reparations. Martin Luther King, he came and he made it so I could eat mayonnaise at the white man restaurant. He made it so we could integrate, so that they could kick us out of the workplace, and so the black woman could then say, I don't need no man no more. She could be independent. She IENDPENT. Yay. That's how you niggas sound. It's how, like, it's time to come out of that mess, man. I know, you know, it's fun to go to the HBC, you know, at the classics. You know, I live in Florida, man. You know what I'm saying? The Florida Classic was, you know, it was big. Oh, yeah, you know, it was big. You know why? Because it was a big old mess of fornication. You know how many friends I got that had to be dragged back from these schools because they went out there and lost their minds, just hold themselves out? Men and women. They done went out there, like very few of them finished that I know. Some of them finished, you know, thankfully. They finished, they did their thing. But a lot of them didn't, because they just went out there and partied themselves out. Why is it that all this lust is in these colleges? Why is it that in a place that practices pagan worship from old pagan religions and pagan beliefs, when you get a pagan degree and wear a pagan hat on your head, that you have pagan sex ritual worship going down in these places? I wonder why. Like, you know, y'all niggas, again, the same type of niggas. Oh, I get coochie. Yeah, because you was running around like in college. You was the man. So that's your identity that you hold on to. You holding on to that because that's all you have. Because you've never built your identity on yourself by allowing the Most High to show you who he made you to be. You allow the colonizer to define who you are. You're either a bull that run around impregnating and creating bastards, or you're a good little slave, a good little taskmaster that came in and etched your skin with your god or goddess of choice, and then joined your church, and then get into your Masons or your Eastern Stars, offering to Minerva on your fellowship center with your giant Masonic star. Look at here, bro. Look at here. I told y'all this was gonna be the one that, you know, a lot of folks ain't gonna be like this. They're gonna be mad because I'm coming in like Abram back in the day and knocking down your idols. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's time to put the axe to your idols, even though they look like you. See, you know, we've been kind of engineered. That's why folks, the white man can't get saved. And, bro, I'm telling you right now, there's some folks that look like you, that even got DNA like you, and they worse than some of these Anglo folks. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. There's some of these folks that's African in origin. One of the biggest slave, you know, when they talk about people being blacks being slave owners and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a African woman. She married her, I forget her name. She married her husbands that were the chiefs, and for some odd reason, they all kept dying. And she would have the power, and she was slanging slaves like nobody's business. But you know, black women was picked on though. But they was the black men, they beat us up, so we have to be rebellious because our grandmas were slaves. No, your grandmas was complicit. I tell folks all the time, my grandma was wild. My dad became who he was because he wanted to be the opposite. My grandma dropped my dad off with somebody else and went running the streets. He grew up and asked his father why you wasn't around. What happened? And he was like, bro, you know your mom. He said, I tried, but she wouldn't let me. But you know, let them tell it. The women was just so oppressed. Nah, man, what we got to realize is We both come from a broken background. We both still suffering from this Willie Lynch nonsense. That's why you got men trying to find they identity in all this homoerotic nonsense, and the women finding their identity in this homoerotic nonsense, and it's got the whole black families flipped up and twisted, just creating bastards and more problems. So somebody says, look, enough is enough. I'm not finna do it no more. I'm not falling for the lies no more. I'm not finna play this dude and condone all these other dudes. There's, these dudes be saying, oh, these single mamas, they good for the crew. Nah, bro, if you complaining about the state of whoredom in women, stop contributing to it. Easy. Stop sleeping with whores. Stop sleeping around with women you ain't married to. Stop adding to the problem. You can't sit here and talk crap about the women, but then turn around and be smashing. Like, are you serious, my nigga? How about you actually become a man and control yourself? Like, I be with some dudes and I be walking, and as soon as a chick walk around with a big old booty, this nigga break his neck. You can hear the like the nigga was on a chiropractor table. It's like, my dude, are you serious? It ain't even that serious. It ain't that serious. But you niggas is so bound by lust. I had Hebrew men say stuff to me like this. Hebrew dudes, oh, I'm going for the women. My dude. Are you serious? Then when you get a problematic woman, you be like, oh, these women is crazy. No, nigga, you was putting your penis in crazy. Every Jezebel needs an Ahab. Jezebel had no power on her own. Ahab had to cede his power to Jezebel. When Jezebel went to go kill that dude for the vineyard, what did she do? She took his seal. This nigga sitting there crying, and she said, give me the seal. I'll handle it myself. She took his seal. Every Jezebel needs an Ahab. It's a duality. There's no one side to none of this stuff. You got problematic niggas just like feed problematic women. Just like I said before, with the thugs love chaos. The women that's under this Lilith spirit follow for these dudes that follow this eunuch spirit. That's why most of these dudes is either weirdo sex pervs that can't control themselves, or they homosexual. And most of those dudes, that's something my mom said years ago, and I didn't get it, but I get it now. When I got older, she was like, a lot of these dudes you see that be sleeping with all these different women, they really be homo on the low. She's like, a woman can't do nothing for them. They done mess with a woman so much that now it's just like, ain't nothing to it no more, because they done just went out here and went after woman after woman after woman after woman. Yeah, a man can have multiple wives, but you weren't designed to be out here to have 50, 60, 70, 11. That's what got Solomon in trouble. Having all them chicks. Come on now. Learn some control, my dude. Learn some control. You ain't got to look at everything. Everything ain't everything. Because I guarantee you, the ones that's out here showing off all that everything are the worst ones. Leave them be. Then you want to complain and talk about them, but you adding to the whoredom. Like, stop it. Anyway, man. I done started Black. It's hilarious. I didn't even realize it was Black History Month until just now. I just now remember. Here we go. Start off Black History Month by me coming in telling you your Black history is a lie. It's a set of lies agreed upon by a bunch of homo on the low men and women. If they just wanted to be gay, just be who you want to be. Hey, at least Baynard was out here letting everybody know. Maya Angelou, though, was fronting on the, faking the funk, but she was out here doing that stuff, and you couldn't tell me that old girl either, because again, she wrote about it in The Color Purple. Y'all seen the little undertones of that was going on in Color Purple. All this stuff always carries sexual weirdness with it. Every single one of these jokers that call themselves activists and all this have sexual weirdness all around them because they serve in the temple of the whore. The temple of the whore was known when dudes had their kids back in the day, a female child, they would take her to the temple of Diana. I think it was Diana. I want to say it was Diana. Basically, it was Isis at the end of the day. It's just their name for Isis. That's who it was. And they would bring their daughter in there, and their daughter had to sleep with somebody to basically become pure in her eyes. So she had to basically become a whore. And after she whored herself out, that was a part of her ingratiating herself into this society to be blessed by this deity. This is what our Hebrew women do to this day. To this day, still being done. You got the men that go in to participate with the whore worship and the women that give their bodies in the whore worship. It's still going on to this day. Why do you think that all during this time of the desegregation and all that stuff with the hippies, all this stuff was happening at the same time with the sexual revolution? Because they were tired of doing all their art and stuff in the background. Now they was like, no, we finna start bringing it out. And look at where we are right now. Did integration do us better? Are we in a better position? Look up how many black-owned banks we have now. Not that many. How many towns are owned by mainly black folks that do business with each other, that got business and do, big time business with them? Not that many. Not any that ain't owned by some kind of bought and paid for coon. That's all I'm saying. Very few have a person that got like noble intentions, like real good intentions. Most of them are just people that want to be adjacent to whiteness. I'm just going to call it like it is. They want to be the new white man. It's Animal Farm all over again. Animal Farm is one of my favorite books. It's so real. It's so real. Animal Farm is the perfect parable, man. I love that book. It is great. If you've never read Animal Farm, I highly recommend you read it. I highly recommend you read it. It is a great book. It is a great book. You want to talk about a parable? That's a parable right there. So yeah. Happy Black History Month. Burn your idols. Burn your idols. It's time for us as Hebrew men and women to let go of the lies and to get our own individual personalities and put off this fake faux personality that they gave us. This junk was reinforced all through. Like, man, I'm gonna do an episode talking about TV shows and the different things. Like, this is witchcraft. Really, what I've been talking about this whole night is witchcraft. In case y'all didn't really realize it, I'm talking about witchcraft. This is what this is. This is manipulation. It's sex magic. It's all of the same stuff, but they just hide it behind all these popular terms and they recodify it and give it different names and stuff. So it doesn't carry that same, But if you got eyes to see, you see it as the same thing. Every time you see somebody that's into the advocacy and civil rights and all that stuff, they are weird and sexually deviant. Deviant as all get out. I mean, septum ring theory is the real. If I see a dude or a chick with a septum ring, I know that they have done the most horrible things in life and made horrible choices in life. And whatever opinion they're about to say is about to be the most worst thing I've ever heard. It's twisted, back, and demonic. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. So, y'all got to get rid of your idols, man. Get rid of your idols. Like my man Eshawn say, get rid of your idols. It's time to wake up for real. And it's time to bring your mind out of this and get into your true personality. Your soul has been given programming. We have all been programmed. I'm not talking like I'm not programmed. We all have programming. And we have to be willing to put the things that we may consider our own mindset, things that we have let integrate with our soul so much, we call it us, but it is actually a malignant, demonic tumor that is hurting and harming our spiritual growth. You got to excise that thing. Cut it out. It hurts. It's going to suck. But through pain and suffering is how the Most High tempers your will. What we're going through is a tempering of will. Are you willing to deny what you think is yourself, to make your soul, again, like my brother, the most misquoted, misunderstood man in the Bible, Paul says, I die daily. This is a part of that dying. This right here. Get rid of this nonsense. If you pledge, you need to get on your face before the Most High and fast and ask the Most High to free you from those curses. Find out any way you can get that. If you got it tattooed, get it covered and get rid of. Or if you put that nonsense where they scrape the scar on you, find some way to get that mess up off of you and ask the Most High to forgive you for aligning yourself with cult worship. Because that is what it is. It is a cult. The education system is just an extension of the cult. That's what it is. That's what it is. The septic ring. That is actually pretty funny. But that is hilarious. I just saw what you said. That is so accurate. Septic ring. I love that. It's exactly what it is, because it is filth. It ain't nothing but some filth that come out of their mouth. That's all they say. And again, whether it's a man or a woman, just the most stupid, horrible, and just twisted takes, man. Is a joker with a septum ring and a crystal around their neck. Nonsense. It's all witchcraft. Again, it's all witchcraft. So, like I said, I say this because I want us to do better as a people. You know what I mean? I want us to do better. I don't want to see us fall by the wayside because we following these posers, these new school taskmasters that have been set up, them and their children, and all of them who are under these various colonizers who were put in these positions to control us. All of these jokers put in positions to control us, while minimizing the ones who really went through, putting these jokers in positions over us. These are taskmasters. This is what this heifer really looked like. These are taskmasters. That is what these jokers are. Every last one of them. Martin Luther King, all of them. They were taskmasters. The only real ones I say was Malcolm X and the Panthers. The Panthers was the one who created the neighborhood watch. They also were the one who, again, the Panthers were the reason why they demonized them and went in there and had to get Huey and them killed and taking them all out, and then had to demonize them by getting them dirty, rotten behind heifers who wanted to come. Oh, they were sexist in there, and oh, they didn't let us women do that. Nah, because they made you sit your tail down. You weren't gonna come in there with that nonsense. Oh, but you want to demonize them now. Oh, but you for the committee, but you want to find fault with the black man. Oh, okay. Again, our banks let women have an account. Wow, our women never had to fight us to get an account at the banks that we owned. But them ones that y'all run to, that y'all like, them Anglos, them dudes right there from the mountains, them Amorites, them the ones that kept y'all on lock and key. But y'all run to them. That's all I'm saying. These jokers, man, they was all set up for nonsense. All of them, all this mess. The OG Panthers, not these new Panthers. The new Panthers are trash. The OG Panthers, they was about it, because guess what? When they also did feeding programs, they fed the nations. They didn't just feed Hebrews. They fed Asians. They fed white folks. How I found that out? I found a post where they was trying to talk trash about the Black Panthers, and there were a gang of Anglo folks, Amorite descendants, that were defending the Black Panthers, saying, no, my white family was fed by the Black Panthers. They fed us. These are parents that coming from had no, again, they always try to say, oh, the black man don't have no kids with the father and blah, 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 blah. Talk to some of these folks, like this woman right here. Her, I believe in her story, where was she? The one, not her. She's a whole white woman, her family. This one here, she was one that, came from, that's what the story is. She had a white daddy that abandoned her. And there was the other woman that had started the Black Bank. She also was a product of that as well, where her white daddy just denied her and made her mom sign a thing that said that it wasn't his kid and all this. They the OG deadbeat daddies. They've been building bastard kids for years. But it's easy to blame black men, because if you control the media, you can push the misdirection elsewhere. One of my good friends, as a matter of fact, that dude is like my brother from another mother. He's a whole Irish dude, and he didn't have his daddy growing. His dad was a deadbeat. I had my daddy. He didn't. And if I'm using the colonizer terms, I'm black, he white. So that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these things that we believe are not true. It's just we've been lied to, just like all of them. And it's time to wake up. So with that, man, I am going to end it there. I don't apologize if this hurt your feelings. I do not apologize if you feel a type of way. It's just that we need to realize that it's time to wake up and to throw out our idols and to throw out the things that we stop believing, that's fake, that we don't, that we still believing in. It's time to wake up and see reality. All right. So, I'm gonna holler at y'all again next week. I appreciate y'all coming through and joining me for this special Black History Month edition where I dismantle the lies of Black history. The ones y'all should be looking at is men like Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey, they accuse him of starting a slave rebellion, but all Denmark Vesey was doing was teaching that we the people. He was teaching the Bible. But they lied and said that he was starting a slave rebellion and ended up taking him out and burning his church. That's all I'm saying. I didn't even, like I said, I really didn't plan it for this. It was something that just bothered me, and I just had to speak on it because I get tired of seeing Black women saying this same stupid crap. Oh, we were slaves. Oh, that was the marriage of slavery, all this stupid stuff. But then you'll go and work on a job where they'll fire you all unceremoniously and submit yourself to all that stuff to that white man. And what did he do? He fired you. He laid you off. And now they all online talking about where the good men at? Why ain't nobody gonna come help pay my bills? You traded the Black man for the system. And that's what's gonna happen to a lot of these other Anglo adjacent jokers that think they winning. Like that you see in these Epstein files that came out, who they implicating? They talking an awful lot about these Black folks that was in there. They always gonna throw a Black man out in front of you real quick so they can look, Jay-Z's in Epstein files. I'm going get Greenland now. Don't think it's strange. All this stuff is happening. They finna start throwing more niggas under the bus. R. Kelly was just the beginning. Diddy was just the next one. There's more coming. They're gonna throw every Black man they can under the bus until this system falls. These jokers think that their white adjacency saves them, and they don't gonna find out real quick that just like Jay-Z said on the story of OJ, you still a nigga. Rich nigga, po nigga, faux nigga, real nigga. Still nigga. You still a nigga. They don't care about you. They care about bloodline, and you got the bloodline of their enemies. You're just a useful idiot. That's all. But anyway, with that, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll holler at y'all later.
This is your sister Bray, y'all saying shalom to all the brothers and sisters scattered around the four corners of the earth. The kingdom is near. Praise y'all. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Living water fills my soul. Father, never let me go. I need you to make me whole. I need you to pay the road. Father, fill me and I need your wisdom. Not for pride and glory or attention. I need it so I can make better decisions. Resist if I get tempted. Cleanse every inch of my temple. This love you give is so fulfilling. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Living water fills my soul. Father, never let me go. I need you to make me whole. I need you to pay the road. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen. Ruach HaKodesh in my system. Father, fill me up, I wanna listen.